I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes. Like a doll's eyes.
I love this town!
Hello, City.
Hello, and welcome to the City of Geeks podcast. I am Bob.
I'm Cody.
I'm Kim.
I'm Tony.
And we're at our year-end retrospective. So thank you for coming in to listen to us. No matter how you found us, if you just searched online for best of the year and you came across us, thank you, first-time listeners. You can find us at cityofgeek.com with our written reviews, YouTube for some of our film reviews, which are also listed on
Or just
online.
me and Bob sitting in a car.
Usually often.
I was in one of them.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
can't really
So
see
was
me.
I felt so
Yeah,
bad.
exactly.
I'm like this entire blob, and you're just like behind. Hey, I'm Kim.
And back in the first episode, back in September, Cody and I went over some of our favorites and least favorites then. But now we have all four of us for the first time, so this is going to be an interesting experiment.
Yes.
And the whole year to discuss about. So if you're finding us from searching best or worst the year, however, outside these podcasts, you can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes for the actual podcast year. So like, comment, subscribe, share, tell everyone how much you hate us. And then you can find us online at
You got some shit for that
cityofgeek.com.
Mary Poppins review.
Yes, I did. Not too much, not as much as I expected.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was just mostly old ladies. Oh, I don't agree with you, Sir Bob.
And but we can we're talking about news, other content, things that we're working on, various retrospectives and
Pretty soon,
themes,
some true crime.
and some true crime that
Yeah.
Kim's working on.
Christian propaganda.
You also find the Facebook on our Facebook page. We'll type out little things or just share trailers and news and other things that are on our heads. But yeah, find us there at citygeek.com or citygeek/Facebook. We're also Twitter, Instagram, a couple other things. But however, yeah, if it's the first time through, welcome. If you've been following us and listened to every episode, what the hell is wrong with you?
Thanks, Mom.
All four of you are the greatest.
Thanks, Nicole. And my mom doesn't know how to do the internet, so
Yeah,
probably just Nicole.
My wife doesn't listen; she just has to hear me talk about it.
Same thing with mine.
But we're talking about the year of 2018. It was a big year for film, if you ask me. Between giant films like Avengers or smaller documentaries going giant, Free Solo, Won't You Be My Neighbor, a whole bunch of other things were just huge. And Netflix really put out a lot of content this year, so they're really starting to
Bird Box
get on
was
top.
a pretty
Yeah.
big hit for them.
Yeah.
They do.
This is
factor
the biggest
into
hit
my
ever.
list,
Yeah.
for sure.
And I enjoyed Bird Box.
I still haven't watched
haven't
it. It's
seen
just
it.
on my list or anywhere.
But I know it's got Sandra Bullock, and she's Daredevil. So.
Yeah. What?
I heard, man.
No, it's basically the movie.
Oh, okay. But I don't know about you guys. I have about 200 movies on my list. I know Tony has said he's like one. Just kidding.
It made me look bad, Bob. It's like, I've done 100 mini reviews. It's like, fuck, I've seen like 10 movies the whole year.
I've seen 18.
But I think most of my lists lean positive, maybe because I usually like try and balance out good and bad movies, and this year I really focused on the good. So doing as Cody mentioned, my year-end retrospective, which I'm in the middle of writing, I found most of my stuff ended up being things I would recommend in some way.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Most of I had to kind of sit down and think about my bad.
Yeah,
For me, the bad just comes to me.
and we'll talk about that later. We are doing we're going to do our individual top 10s along with our 5 worsts. And then hopefully, I know I will be working this. A couple other people mentioned that on the website itself, we'll post up maybe our own written retrospectives that might focus more on a particular genre or a particular thing or just simply things we didn't talk about today. Because
We like to talk.
We like to talk, yes.
If
So we're
you
going to try and
listen
stay
to any
in.
of our podcasts, we love to talk.
And there are many things that I hope between us all, we've seen everything that was worth talking about. I know there's a bunch of things that I have missing from my list that hopefully one of you guys have
You
seen.
never saw Death of a Nation, you dick.
Yeah, I think I'm okay. So
still
reach
crying.
out to us for things that we might have missed, recommendations for yourself, or what your own list would be, and if you want to go over how much we're wrong. As I noted, we're doing our top 10s lists. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go around going with the 10s, the number 9s, number 8s, and we'll we'll talk about each of those movies, but we won't say one person's going over what their number 10 is, or number 8 is. We won't say if that list is that movie's somewhere else on our list to keep the suspense going of what our number 1s are. And then after that, we'll jump over to our bottom 5s. And then if we have a little time, we'll maybe, since our next episode's going to be a retrospective of looking forward to everything coming out in the spring, we're going to jump to the first 2 weeks there. So that's what we'll be looking at over the next X number of minutes. 15 hours. Hope you guys are ready in for this.
X, maybe XXXX.
I'm already called out of my shift for tomorrow.
Porn doesn't count. No, I'm kidding.
That's how I roll.
Wait, okay, whoa. Porn
That's how we go.
How am I going to talk about my Grinch porn if the porn doesn't count, Bob?
Porn doesn't count? Fuck.
Oh, man.
There goes my list.
Yeah.
There goes it.
My
Sorry, Randall.
Shot.
In a shooting. Just kidding.
So we're starting with me for the best of list?
So we're gonna start with our best ofs here, and so we'll just jump into it and see how everything flows. All right. Here we go. So Cody, what is your number 10?
Whatever this whiskey is that Tom.
I
forgot.
How long have you known Tony?
This is some damn good whiskey.
This is some damn good
No,
whiskey.
it was the roofie.
So
It
what
was
you-
the roofie that Tim gave me. If you need to find me tomorrow, you know who did it. Anyway, so Christopher Robin. I really like that movie a lot. My mom always really liked Eeyore and like literally. My dad's thing was Snoopy. Her thing was Eeyore. She still has a fuckload of them at the house. It was fun. I liked everything about it. It wasn't necessarily the greatest movie of all time. It wasn't something necessarily I'd probably even watch again. But it was a fun, just kind of almost like candy, sitting down. It's like nostalgia candy. Sitting down, see Ewan McGregor and try not to think of the Obi-Wan memes. That they obviously.
I have the high ground. Oh, bother.
Hello, General Kenobi. Jim Cummings, obviously great. I really liked Brad Garrett as Eeyore. It was fun. I mean, I don't really have a lot, 100% to say about it, but I liked it enough that I left the theater with a great big smile.
So I'm going to start out with the disagreement, which it's not on my bottom 10, don't worry.
Okay.
But it is towards the bottom of the list. I gave when I spread out everything, I ended up giving a 2 out of 5 era. I think the CG looks great. They look lifelike and they look like actual dolls. But I thought the story I've seen 100 different times, you get a middle-aged guy who's lost focus of his life and something has to bring him back. And the weird post-apocalyptic alcohol.
Try saying that 5 times.
Yes.
Have some more.
Post-destruction, 100 Acre Woods is really a weird tonal choice of everything's falling apart as he left and everyone's all sad and weird and missing.
Think about it, though. And you look at it as a Star Wars prequel after the fall of the Jedi, it makes some sense.
And I love Haley Atwell, and I thought that she was kind of given the shaft.
Oh,
Her
yeah.
and the daughter.
Wait, a female actress being given the shaft?
What?
What?
That's really a great one. Haley Atwell was amazing.
Yeah, no, Haley Atwell's fucking great. I forgot
they could have cut. They could have cut her
and
and the daughter out of the movie completely, and that was a
Women
loss.
characters who are disposable? What?
Although there was one
I
scene,
remember her.
one character in this whole movie, the guy who wants to play Jim Rummy with him,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure he just wants to wear Christopher Robin's skin. Come on, guys.
Oh, well, see, now I want to watch it.
Exactly. I'm
He
this sounds
tries
good.
to find him and shit, and that's how he even finds Pooh. He's trying to avoid this guy. Who's like, oh, Baba. You can see in his head, it's okay, do I go back and almost get my skin eaten by this guy, or just go with the imaginary
But
bear?
it's weird, but
He
never
goes with the imaginary
and that
bear.
guy's left hanging. He's like, "I'll come by tomorrow," and
He
the
never
movie
comes-
just ends, and I expected to be an end credit scene of him playing Jin Rami with this dude. Never happened.
Or the guy wearing a suit.
You know,
or Umar Reis.
It's funny, I thought there was going to be
Rami.
a similar end credit scene, except he's just going to be hanging from a noose in his house. Just, with sad music playing.
That would get even more
movie's
darker
kinda
than I
great
thought.
Now I didn't see it, so because it didn't look like my cup of tea, but now I kind of want to.
I saw
I
it
know.
literally the day after I saw Death of a Nation. Stay tuned. So maybe that also is affecting my love of it. That boosts it up because if you see it after literally watching a homeless man just rave around in the gutter for 2 hours, you probably don't like it a bit more. But that is Christopher Robin, better than a homeless man.
Any other thoughts on Christopher Robin before we move on? Tony, did you see it all?
No, I did not. In fact, you'll be hearing me say I didn't see that several times.
But what you did see is down to be damn right interesting because I know you.
Yeah, that's true.
It's I found this at the bottom of the Romanian well. The director killed himself right after making it, and so I found this. You and Tom Cornell can just talk about that stuff all day.
There you go.
Oh man, Tom Carnell is the coolest. Shout out to Tom Carnell.
And the Bonus Material podcast. Now ending, but go check them out. Him and Langley are awesome. Kim, what's your number 10?
My number 10. I have to check my list. Halloween 2018 was my number 10.
Nice.
That is on my list a little further up.
Yeah, and if it was exclusively horror list, it would be further up for me. But the mixture of stuff, I really struggled with where to put it, and I couldn't justify it much higher only because it's not the greatest movie, but in terms of entertainment, in terms of anticipation, in terms of fuck yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Damn right. And Judy Greer.
And Judy Greer.
That was my favorite part of that whole fucking movie. I can't do it, Mom. I can't do it.
Spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
We're probably spoiling everything we were talking about here. Sorry, guys.
It's a year-end retrospective. You're entitled. It's part of the job description.
The teen actress, I thought she was really solid. Like, it was so satisfying, and I think everything I could have wanted from a Halloween movie that was happening, 40 years later. My God, 40 years later.
This was H40.
Yeah, I thought it really worked well for me. And speaking of, we mentioned earlier that we all did a video review together. Yeah. That was that. So find that on YouTube, and you can find it on the website of the link to that.
We still got our most views.
Probably.
Our Bumblebee review, we got 2 reviews.
So far.
Bumblebee.
Hey, Bumblebee was great. It's up on my list. Don't shit talk Bumblebee or I will fight you.
I haven't seen...
Halloween ended up in my... Halloween,
can't we all just get along?
We could try, but...
We could try.
Kim and I were talking yesterday about Halloween, and, I can name, 20 movies I liked. I think were better movies than it, but I still had it in my top 10. It ended up ultimately in number 11. Just so close to me. It just ended up being pushed out. I ended up kicking it out.
I kicked something off my list that probably should have been on in terms of being a better movie. It's in my honorable mentions. In terms of being a better movie, but in terms of... I think a lot of it for me was...
It was Death of a Nation, wasn't it?
It was Death of a Nation, Cody. I mean, as a woman and the lone... sometimes vagina person not to discount the penis that I wear a lot of times when I'm around you guys, but
penis.
As the lone woman, I will say that I look for stories, and I'm more drawn to the stories about women.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And so for me, just the fact that we had these 3 badass women, and we had Michael Myers, and we had slashers and Halloween, I couldn't not have it on my list, even if it was not necessarily the best made film. In terms of sheer love, I have such a deep love for that movie.
I think it followed up the first one.
Oh,
perfectly.
Yeah.
It's the best
and I think
sequel directly to the first.
Really good, Me Too film.
Yeah.
Because Michael Myers allows you to kind of fill in the villain on that end. Mm-hmm. So I really liked that from that perspective. It's he needs to get his shit kicked in. It was nice seeing that, no whip, and they're not, oh, Lord, you have to save me, big man. No, it was just Jamie Lee Curtis fucking stuff up, and then her granddaughter's fucking stuff up, and
all the men in it are jackasses or bad
but also
at it.
showing too the long-term effects of trauma.
I think that's the movie just falls short of it's kind of an honorable mention on my list because I was extremely entertained by it. I love the fact that it did flirt with kind of the Me Too ethos, for want of a better term. I really think there's an earnest attempt to tap into that. And I think Jamie, and the great thing is that Jamie Lee Curtis is so good, she fills in those blanks really nicely, so much so that when you're watching the movie, you don't really think about it. It's only afterwards where you're like, well, it might have been nicer if there would have been more of her and more of Judy Greer and a little bit more humanizing of her. Now, that said, the raw material that is there is a lot of fun. I was very entertained.
If you compare Laurie from... Yeah, I saw it 3 times myself. And then if you look at Laurie from the first film to this film, you see someone whose life was stopped. She mentioned talking to her granddaughter. It's I was National Honor Society. I was going to do this. I was going to do this. But this one night... stopped it. Stopped everything dead.
She even says, I don't care if my daughter hates me. If she knows how to survive and live in this environment, that's all I give a shit about.
Well, and that they don't shy away from showing, she fucked her kid up a little bit. Her kid was taken away from her because spoiler alert, because of her actions. She has an alcohol problem. Her marriage ended. And I really enjoyed actually the conversation between the granddaughter and some of her friends where they were kind of what's the big deal? Because in 2018, you regularly have school shootings where you've got, 10 kids being mowed down. You have mass shooters left and right. You have terrorist attacks. You have all these horrible things happening. And I think there's something to be said about the fact that in the 70s, something like this happening, if you think about something like this happening, it could have been completely stopping your life. Yep. And now it's white noise. Now it's like, well, I mean, it sucks, but
it sucks, but there was like 30 kids killed at the school down the street.
And I think it's a really interesting way, too, to parallel, like, how this would have been treated in the 70s versus how it's treated today.
Absolutely.
Where we're so casual with everything. And
it amazes me how much we just glaze over like fucking mass shootings. Like, like that one in
When's
Santa
the next?
Barbara.
Yeah.
Some dude just walks into a bar and mows down like 20 people, including a cop. Oh, well, it was post-election, so
Yeah.
Gets like one day of coverage, and then it's fucking gone. That used to be a huge deal.
It used to be. And so I really appreciated that moment specifically because I think it's really telling, too, about a generation gap and a really sad statement about where we are right now. That violence and these horrible mass enactments of violence are so commonplace that nobody really reacts to them.
Yeah. Well, it's like, my dad, he knew someone who went to Vietnam.
Yeah.
And my dad was born in 1948, so he was an older guy.
Yeah.
And he passed a few years ago, but he would have been 70 this year. So he knows a lot of people who were in Nam, and he knows a couple people who, because he didn't go because of some, like, medical thing. Not a Trump medical thing, like a legit thing.
Actual medical thing.
He goes, and he's like, I knew some friends that didn't come home, and I knew some friends that they came home and they were messed up. And that was a big deal for him. It's like, I know like 5 people who've killed themselves. I know 3 people who've killed themselves accidentally. And I know of one guy who drove himself off a cliff drunk. Which is why I'm not driving today.
Yeah, but, shit fucks you up. And going back to Halloween itself, like I'm just gonna bring it back to a fun end of things.
Well played. Well played.
So I spent high school and my first bout of college in Charleston, South Carolina, where they filmed Halloween. So it was really cool to see locations. The second time through and playing, like, do I know a place? And I looked up all the locations later, and they're about a mile from my dad's house. So next time I go home to visit, probably next Thanksgiving, I'm gonna go to the Halloween filming locations. From what I could see so far from articles and people posting stuff, is like the people who houses were filmed at, like, come look at our house, please. Unlike, say, the Goonies people, fuck those people. Who like covered their house in a tarp in Astoria because they don't want people taking photos. But yes, Halloween I think lived up to all our expectations. It wasn't like a 40-year crap, Yeah. So and I really look forward to. And it was a massive hit. It was in theaters for like 3 weeks, but those 3 weeks were huge.
Yeah.
It came out and then just fizzled. I know Regal downtown only had it for like 3 weeks. It was gone by like November 10th.
AMC ran it for longer.
Oh god, AMC ran that shit into the ground. I remember like early December they were still playing a 10/10 showing.
But it still did it just did gangbusters. It only cost $10 million to make. It made like $80 million opening weekend. So I assume we're going to see more Halloweens. Yeah, I'm gonna get it next month and it will be good.
Yeah.
So any other thoughts on Halloween before we move on?
It was great. It was everything I needed it to be. Everything I wanted it to be. Loved that movie. I went and saw it on my birthday with my fiance after we saw it, and I still enjoyed it every bit as I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it the first night we all saw it. Took my wife the next week, and then I went to see it on Halloween myself. Because I had to do it.
I mean, again, not a perfect film, but I couldn't not put it in my top 10.
Yeah. No,
I just could.
Because it mattered.
It's very entertaining.
Yeah.
I will not deny that.
Tony, top 10?
Top 10. Oh.
What's your number 10?
Number 10.
That was hers.
My number 10 is... Now, I have to preface this by saying that I have probably seen the least amount of movies of anybody at this table.
I've seen a lot of my movies
beyond the shadow of a doubt, and my list is also informed by total nostalgia and subjectivity. So my number 10 movie, and I'm waiting for the brickbats as I throw this out. My number 10 movie is Solo, a Star Wars story.
I never saw that, but I've actually heard it's pretty okay if you
This is the thing.
It's not
I can't
the
watch
worst
it, actually.
thing.
I've never seen it, so...
Well, this is the thing about the movie. Again, getting back to your number 10 choice, it is not a stone masterpiece.
Right.
What it is an extremely zestily paced pulp movie. And it knows exactly what it is, and it does exactly what it's supposed to do really super well. And I found myself just engaged and entertained, and it was escapism for, 2 hours.
Exactly.
I really enjoyed
now, I will
it.
spoiler this. I know Darth Maul appears, and that's enough to get me to at least kind of like ears perk up. I mean, we all know.
Which confused a lot of people because
Well,
if you only watch the movies, you don't know he's alive.
Extended universe shit.
I do.
Oh, yeah,
I've read it all. I've seen it all.
Bob knows his shit. I'm like, I knew he existed. I know he dies, and I know he comes back.
See the one?
Yeah,
that
he dies
looks
like 2
the guy
weeks
from
before New Hope.
Insidious?
Yeah,
Cool.
he's got the
Before the guy from Insidious.
Before the guy from Insidious.
I was Insidious before Insidious was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I can think about when I'm seeing him. It's fucking Darth Maul.
I know. Every time
Guys,
I watch
it's Darth
Insidious,
Maul.
I'm like, it's Star Wars, man.
Star Wars.
And I love Insidious, but I'm sorry.
Darth Maul story, real quick. I swear to God, it'll be 10 seconds. My mom turned 40 back in 1998 or something.
1002. 3.
She got a cake from my grandpa. He bought a Darth Maul cake for me, for her. That was
Aw.
it.
6 seconds and counting.
Okay.
Exactly.
Alright.
That's what I
And
said.
an engaging side journey to boot.
No, I can actually follow up with you, Tony. Like, it's on my top, my number, like, 2 highest tier, because I split everything into 5, 4, 3, 2, 1,
Yeah.
5 being the best. And I only ranked the first top 30, so it's in the second tier. It was absolutely enjoyable. I would probably cut the first act. I thought the first act was kind of unneeded, and they kind of went over everything
Well,
again.
and it does that crime that a lot of the kind of Star Wars offshoot movies do, which is that it over-explains just a little bit.
Yeah.
And you don't need that. And there's enough effortless...
Like, you don't need his last name.
Thank you. There's
that
enough
was stupid.
effortless appeal to what they do put out there. Donald Glover is Lando
Oh,
Calrissian.
fuck yeah. That should have been
Fucking
his
great.
movie.
Thank you.
Him and Elite,
Calrissian.
yeah.
Him
and his droid.
And I'm like, wow, that's fucking cool.
It should have been Lando,
Yeah.
A Star Wars Story, with that
Yes.
kick-ass droid.
There you go.
Well, and see, that I will say, because I also didn't see it. I would have if it was Lando.
Wait, does he fuck the droid? Because I've heard he fucks the droid.
There's hints that they have a thing. Now the droid wants to fuck him.
Nice.
That's where it's at.
Ow!
It's not. No.
See, then I really would have seen it.
Yeah. I have
but
like a weird thing for C3PO.
If you can't put a
I
porn
would've
movie
seen it.
on your list, at least you can put
Lando fucking a droid.
Lando fucking a
Ah.
droid.
And to me, that means he's pansexual.
Well, there you go.
And so,
Yeah, I think that was the point. Like,
I
I
think
remember hearing
Lando's
like, a couple of
droid
my
sexual.
Facebook friends. They're like, "Oh, they made Lando pansexual." It's like, fuck off.
Did you not
Go-
see Lando? Lando would totally.
Well, Lando would fuck
Lando and
her.
Han were a thing.
Lando would fuck anything. He would fuck Chewie. He would fuck Yoda. He would fuck Jabba the Hutt. He would fuck anything.
I mean, I would fuck
That's-
Chewie,
yeah, who wouldn't?
right?
I tell
He
you.
looks so cuddly.
He would be very sensitive. I feel like.
Right. And good hugger.
Speaking of Chewie, one of the best things about Solo is like it's hinted that he might have eaten people before, not in the
Nice.
sex way, but he
the sex
eaten
way, but-
people.
You can do both, Bob.
Yeah.
It's
Don't
2018,
discriminate, Bob.
And it's like
Wookiees can do whatever.
3,050
Broaden your
cinema.
I mean, Wookiee
horizons.
sexual.
Pansexual cannibals. It's okay.
Yeah. That's my life goal.
But like
I got one.
the Kessel Run is
do it,
a
man.
great sequence. There's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I don't think it's great. Like, but I thought I had a good time.
I kept wanting to go see it, and I'd be like, "Oh, I gotta do this, and I had to work, and I had to do this." And
Well, and
kind of a thing.
actually, I think the movie didn't do well financially, and I honestly think why it didn't is because there was so much poisonous advance word of mouth. Because
Yeah.
Yeah.
there was trouble with the directorial
Yes.
team.
The,
there were rumblings
they
about
had-
Aiden Ehrenreich, the guy who plays Han Solo,
Yeah, I think he did a
needing
good
to do
job
like
judging by what
90
I've
takes to get what they needed to get. You know, it's all right by me
Kubrick?
because the 90th take, which they used in the fucking movie, works.
But didn't Kubrick do that with The Shining? Where, like,
Exactly.
He like fucked up Shelley
he
Duvall
didn't-
forever.
He didn't do it like the difference was director versus actor. There's the director who's just driving their actors crazy because he's a dick, and then there's actors
Good
fucking
call.
up.
So, are you saying that this? Have you guys seen Hail Caesar?
Yes.
There's a scene
Oh,
with
yeah.
Aaron whatever. What he's doing, like
Aiden Ehrenreich.
Yeah,
I think I'm
but
saying it right.
The scene in that when he's trying to say
Oh!
say that line that Ralph
Say the
Fiennes.
line, yeah.
can't remember what it is right now, but
but
Phony Twist is simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's doing the same thing over and over again. So apparently that was just real.
Oh, but he's, I didn't make the connection that was him because again, I didn't see.
He's in Beautiful Creatures and Stoker. I think he's been around for a little.
But I loved him in Hail Caesar. He's
great in it. There's something so wonderfully unaffecting, and actually that appeal I think translates to Solo, and that's
he's so
why
watchable.
He's charismatic as hell. He did a good job imitating Harrison Ford as best
I
you can.
even bought the damn Star Wars skin in Battlefront 2. He looks cool. He looks like Han Solo. Everybody who bitches about him, he didn't look like Han Solo. Fuck you.
He did fine.
He did.
He got the smarm when the show was going on.
Don't jerk yourself off like Kim was doing.
That's
no
right.
one can see
we
it.
can't see hand gestures. We can describe them.
I am describing it. It was very vigorous.
Any other thoughts on any other thoughts on Solo before we slide on?
Solo, some damage to the chest.
Well, that's when you worked at Solo.
Best tagline ever.
Sir
All right, Bob, let's go.
All right, my number 10 was Death of Stalin. Anyone else?
Oh my god, I wanted to see that so bad, and I never got around to doing it because the Death of Stalin, real quick, is a really, really weird story where some say it was poisoned, some say it wasn't. It was just a weird death for a considerably weird guy.
With the movie itself is a credible dark comedy of politics and backstabbing and people like saying just the right amount of politics to not piss off everyone else, but to get what they need to do, and power struggles, and like after Stalin dies, which is about a third of the way through the movie.
That was the big thing.
Yeah, he didn't. So everyone, all these people just jumping in. You get Khrushchev and bunch of other people whose names I can't remember, Molotov, who's played by Michael Palin, which is great to see him on screen again. I love Michael Palin. Andrea Riseborough, in a great year for her. She's around because she's all over this year. And movie is apparently I'm the only one here who's seen it, so it's
on my list to watch.
But it is absolutely
Netflix
fantastic.
It's
I don't want to ruin any particular bit to know we're not worrying about spoilers, but it's very biting humor. It's really sharply written. It's by the people who made Veep and Zoran Peter Capaldi from Thick of It. Is that what it's called? From BBC. Same people. So it's got that great back and forth. It's got that.
Only the Christian kind.
But of course, it's dark as hell because people are dying left and right. You get people backstabbing each other. And Jason Isaacs is funny as hell, which is weird because he's normally straight-laced.
Straight-laced.
He's funny. He's really funny.
Harry Potter.
But he doesn't. But no, he doesn't get. I feel because if you watch he's done other things. He's very good at the very dry humor.
Oh yeah, which this movie is.
He's
totally
extremely good at dry humor.
He's gonna be at like one of the Comic-Cons coming here.
Is he really? Because it's possible that I have a little crush on him. So.
Not quite on Jason Momoa shirtless levels, but.
But she just watches his version of Peter Pan all the time, which is a solid version.
You strike me as a person who's into like brains and accents as well as
usually it's personality for me. And
see, that's why I'm a big Dobby fan. You give him a sock, he'll pretty much do anything for you, and that's okay.
That's true.
That's okay.
There's pros and cons to that.
Yeah, there is.
Through that.
All right, and speaking of pros, let's keep talking about our favorite movies. All right, Cody. Number 9.
Vice. I actually just saw it the other day.
Nice.
Loved this
Nice
fucking
for Vice.
movie. I grew up in the Bush era.
Yeah.
I remember
Fuck you, Cody.
my grandma used to watch CNN nonstop, and she was a Democrat. She used to be like a Nixon Republican, and she hated Dick Cheney. And that was the one good thing about my grandma that I kind of took from her.
Okay.
She was a confusing person. Let's just say that. But yeah, no, I got my love of politics from her. I loved everything about this. Even Tyler Perry as fucking Colin Powell, which is the weirdest casting ever. I'm like, no, don't Medea up my Colin Powell. They Medea'd up my Colin Powell. I loved Sam Rockwell as
Bush.
Oh my god, that was... He portrayed just the dumbass Bush you're thinking of. And Christian Bale disappears into that role.
Yeah, I will say, from everything I've seen of Christian Bale's performance in that...
my god.
The first time I saw a trailer for it, I did not realize that was Christian Bale.
Amy Adams does a great job as
She's
Lynn
wonderful.
Cheney.
I love her.
And I really want to give a shout out to Allison Pill. She's probably not listening, but she does a really, really,
I
really
love
good
Allison
job
Pill. Yeah.
at everything she does. She's great as Mary
She
Cheney.
always steals the role as soon as whatever
And then
she's playing.
Lily Rabe as Lynn
nice.
Cheney. Or not Lynn Cheney.
Not Lynn Cheney.
Whatever her name is. I don't care.
Laura Bush?
That darn Cheney.
No, there's no Laura Bush.
I'd watch
in this movie. That darn. Oh my god.
I'd watch that.
It's like, remember that? That's my Bush?
That's my Bush.
I have that on
That's my
DVD. I don't
Bush.
think anyone else remembers that damn
And
show.
I begged
Loved
Carolyn.
it.
I begged Carolyn to go see this with me because she wanted to go see Aquaman. I'm like, please, I'll do anything. I want to go see this. It's Christmas night.
Let's face it, Dick Cheney shirtless does not really have the same ring to it.
Oh, and he's shirtless, but he's having a heart attack when he does it. So, and you know, Dick Cheney, just straight up bad guy, didn't deserve that heart. Totally fine with you dying when you do, Dick. Because he.
I mean, most aptly named person ever.
Oh, dude, he's a fucking.
Him and
dick.
Nixon, right?
He got so many people
Paradix.
killed.
Yeah.
He's just an absolute monster, and they do a great job of portraying that. He's a
Yeah.
monster. They don't hide that. He's not the protagonist of this film. He even like addresses the
Because
audience.
it's like
Very Richard
it's
III
it's
kind
a
of
dark
thing, isn't it?
satire,
He
right?
straight up
Yeah.
looks at the audience at the end. Spoilers if you don't care about the ending.
You think of a historical
you're
drama?
too young to remember these time
And he just
periods.
goes, "I'm your servant. You elected me. I did a great job. Thank you for the opportunity." It's like, fuck you.
And Bush is like, hey, what's going on?
Oh yeah, Bush. Like
I cooked in a
everybody
pretzel.
bitches about Bush, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, Bush is a bad guy." I'm like, okay, Bush is a bad guy.
You know he's the puppet,
But
right?
he's the puppet. Dick Cheney's got his fist 10 feet up his ass, and the movie shows it too. I mean,
Yeah.
he shows how he surrounded people around Bush, and it was a really good nostalgia flick for me for that reason. Because I remember being like.
Warm
When Kim and I were in our
fuzzies.
20s.
Oh yeah, I remember it. I remember it being like, I really wanted John Kerry to win. I took a day off of school.
Do
and he
you
didn't.
remember the first time around? Do you remember the gore?
I do.
Do you?
I was 6, but I remember.
Yeah, there you go. Fuck you, Cody.
And then I remember the Kerry thing.
Yeah,
and then
please.
I remember being
Double fuck you, Kier.
hyped.
Yeah.
Hyped about Obama, and then my first time I could vote was Obama in 2012.
Fuck you, Cody.
Don't be mad just because I'm beautiful. Anyway, I mean, I don't think any of you seen Vice?
No, it's on my list to get to this
Kim and I
week.
were going to see it on Wednesday, but ended up
Wednesday,
being
yeah.
too tired after work and sold out anyway.
It's really worth a watch. It's really a fascinating film. I really think I should take whiskey more before these things.
I think so too.
I'm
This is
more
amazing.
open about these movies, and it's like I can actually like connect with my true thoughts on it.
Yeah,
Go
like,
fucking see this
Note
movie.
to
Do you
self.
need, do
I
you
like
need
it.
some more whiskey?
We do have some
like
more.
I wasn't a
Hit
big
me.
fan of The Big Short, but this one looks
Oh,
better
yeah,
and
The Big Short.
fixed.
I love that movie.
Yeah, my friend Michael saw Vice
He
today, and he
says
mostly
seeing it
really
one
liked it.
time.
Like,
And that is Tony K. He brought the booze. Thank you, Tony K.
Maker's Mark. This podcast brought to you by Maker's
Maker's
Mark.
Do you think they'd sponsor us?
as much as the thing is
No.
made by
You
JB.
sponsor me right now, or I will tell people that you like Dick Cheney.
That's special.
And any more thoughts on Vice before we move on?
Just that it was fucking great, Bob.
Yeah,
Kim,
it's on my list. I
go
will see it soon.
I will go see it with you. We can go see it together.
Let's do
I
it.
don't even care.
I have a
We'll
feeling
go see it.
it'll crop into my top list when I get around
Yeah.
to seeing it.
And just
Probably
one
like
quick
Wednesday,
note,
maybe.
I really like how they do it out of sequence. Like it begins on 9/11,
Mm-hmm.
and you show, and Steve Carell does a great job as Donald Rumsfeld. Like
Oh,
he
wow.
plays that
Oh, that's
great
right.
hateable dude. I'm like, I want to kick you in the dick, Donald Rumsfeld. And I actually have a Donald Rumsfeld action figure at home. It's
Which you
Rummy.
kick the dick of
Oh
periodically,
yeah,
I'd imagine. Yeah.
I have it.
Or do you flick the dick?
I
'cause
bought
it's
it. And
It's an action figure. You can only
this is
kick
cool.
Colin
it.
Rummy,
Thank you.
and he's got his own quotes, and I'm like, now Steve Carell, you will be the person I flick in the nuts every once in a while, just to let you know I'm thinking about you.
Good to know,
Kim,
good to know.
You are next.
My number 9.
Okay,
I am-
number 9.
My number 9's another one where I was like, there were probably better made films, but in terms of enjoyment, in terms of it stuck with me, and that's Searching.
Yep, nice.
That
Oh,
really,
yes.
really
Fuck yeah.
stuck with me, and I loved. I mean, the performances I thought were so strong.
John Cho was so incredible.
He was just phenomenal, and I feel like. I mean, like, I think the movie did get some accolades, which I'm really happy about, but I feel like he didn't really get the credit he deserves because he is what makes that
He's
movie.
in literally every scene.
And in such a non-traditional actor way, because so often he's not interacting with another actor in traditional means. You're interacting with a camera. You're interacting with a camera where you're separated by a screen. And as an actor, I can appreciate the challenges there. I love the format, and I was somebody who... I apologize. I live in Pill Hill, which means we get ambulances sometimes. So if you're hearing
Hey,
that...
shut up. We're doing the COG podcast. Silent.
But I enjoyed the Unfriended movies. I enjoyed the...
I'm in the unpopular part, but I agree with you. I love those movies. I think they're interesting.
They're really interesting.
Same vein as like Megan is Missing.
Yeah, and I love the format, and I think it's such a nice modern twist on the found footage for those of us who are found footage fans, which I am. I'm unapologetic about it.
Man.
Booyah!
But like in
that's the penis.
I interrupt you. Sorry.
There it is.
On the way that was filmed, which it wasn't just a screen. There were zooms, there were moves around, there were
very specific.
Lots of edits.
Yeah.
It was such a well edited, well designed film, and they worked on it from the ground up. It was like essentially done in the editing booth before they filmed a scene,
which you'd have to.
Like they knew what everything was going to look like. I was reading an AMA from the guys on Reddit. It was the two directors and the two editors, because the director said we couldn't have done this without these editors, because of how well that all came together and
tight, so tight.
I watched it again the second time with my wife because Alice and I watched Alice and I watched it after Kim and I watched it. If we rented it at home, it was just as harrowing the second time, even knowing how everything plays out.
Yeah.
But I was watching for all the details, and everything adds up. Yes, there's a little plot contrivances in some ways to make a story work, but for the most part, it's a solid piece, and I don't think enough people
Deborah
saw it.
Messing too. I
She's
thought was
amazing.
It was really, really fabulous in it.
And I'll be honest, I haven't seen the entire movie. I've seen mostly clips.
Okay.
I really liked it. Speak up.
Yes.
Okay. I really liked it. And I haven't even, like I said, seen the whole thing, but I can tell already because I liked Megan is Missing, even if it's weird as fuck. I liked Unfriended. I like that because it's legitimately what could happen.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see, and I like John Cho because who doesn't love Harold and Kumar?
And he's really
good.
He's a really talented
Everybody's
actor.
like, Cal Penn is the star. I'm like, no, John Cho. That's
in the last I wrote when I was writing about some of the other stuff on my I was writing about Gemini on my year-end list because I haven't written about searching yet. But in between Columbus, this, and Gemini, he's had a great 2 years.
Is Columbus about Christopher Columbus?
No, it's weird. It's about architecture and stuff.
Fuck you, Columbus.
It's a really weird drama that's kind of hard to explain. It's really low key, but it's so well done. And Gemini is a solid work too. No,
but it's again. I was torn when I was making my list with a couple different films where there was a handful of movies, and most of them made it onto my honorable mentions, where I know that they are. I don't want to say better made films. They're more artsy. They're more art house films.
They're aiming higher.
They're aiming higher. They're aiming differently. And I ended up going mostly with my list in a different direction because for me sometimes it comes back to rewatch value.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
this holds up.
This is something I would watch again. This is something I would recommend to people. And some of the art house movies that I struggled with, that I'm sure are on probably your list,
maybe
and probably your list, are ones that I enjoyed, but I don't know how often I would go back and watch them. And so looking from a purely entertainment standpoint, and I think that's something, you see the struggle with the Oscars a lot. The popular and culturally,
the
commercially,
Oscar baity movies.
Yeah, but things that are more commercially accessible.
9/11, insert Tom Hanks.
but versus something that is maybe more artistic, but also something that is not going to appeal to as wide an audience, and so you kind of go back and forth with that.
And I think a lot that's why I think a lot of best of lists are really favorites lists and least favorites. That's how I always try and best of is what people search for, is what they write. Yes. But it's really favorites and what your personal favorites are. What's stuck with you.
This stuck with me for days afterwards. I was thinking about this movie, and
it's harrowing when you watch it. It's more even just more than this appearance stuff. It's on how much of our lives are online of how he goes through finding information and
the relationship between a parent and a child
and how things change,
especially after a death.
Yeah.
I know that there's a death in the movie. My mom and I's relationship changed after my dad died.
Yeah,
not in a bad way. Like we didn't. It was the opposite of what kind of happened there. It's like we became closer, even closer than it already was. Taking a picture from my fiance drunk. Anyway, but it speaks to me that way. It's like I love any film. Like there was a film at even like Crypticon the other year, where it's like I love a good grief film.
Oh yeah, and there's so much grief and horror.
And it's hard to do a grief film because doing it too much comes off schmaltzy. No, but that opening montage when it goes through about the mom's cancer and death,
yeah, that's
it's so
just-
well done. Like that little 10 minute
was
there,
beautiful.
it's just as well edited as like the beginning of Up, of getting through that information without being like guilty, like not guilty, but being over small to see about it. It's direct, it's to the point, but it's also gets you right in.
That's what it reminded me of too. Is the beginning of Up.
You know, and I can speak to that.
wow.
It's like, you know, when my dad died, it was horrible. It was the worst experience of my whole life. You know, 10 out of 10, don't recommend. But I enjoy movies that don't just gloss over the fact that it happened. It happened.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a dick about it. You don't have to focus on your whole life about it. But you have to acknowledge it happened.
Yeah.
You can't just... My sister's trying to do that. It's like, you know, it fucking happened. Not to be depressing.
Yeah. Well, searching is search out searching because it's fantastic.
I haven't even
It's
seen
really
it. I
worth it.
already recommend it hardcore.
Yeah, and I've seen it twice, and it holds up the second time. It's a solid movie that kind of went under the radar because a lot of people, I think, pushed it off, think, oh, it's found footage, it's screen footage, but it can only be told in that way, and it's told so well in that way.
Found footage is awesome. You're just not looking.
Good found footage can be done the right way.
Boom!
With the penis.
Yeah.
All right, Tony, number 9.
Oh, it's my turn already?
Yeah.
Yes.
My number 9 is something that I'm going to put in here with a huge, huge caveat that I think it kind of
works for you,
goes
man.
to shit
Go on.
towards the end. But up until
It's okay,
the last
Tony, I
10
love
minutes of the movie, thank you, Cody. I love you too. I was really taken by Steve McQueen's Widows. I don't know if any of you have seen that.
Trying to watch it, just kept missing
I've been like, oh, this is it. This is finally see Widows.
Me too. My wife and I were trying to see it, and just never worked out.
It's
Cody,
on my
come
list
into
to see
work.
this week because I'm seeing a
So
bunch of
you're the
movies
only
this
one.
week.
You're the only one.
think
Tell us what it is.
I think part of it is I really benefited from seeing it on a big screen.
Yes.
I saw it on a big screen. And the first 5 to 10 minutes of this movie are some of the best action cinema that you'll see all year. It is
amazing cast,
yeah,
too.
it is a heist scenario with a heist gone wrong that is brilliantly executed. It is all POV. And it's very harrowing. You're looking at almost the whole thing from the back of a van, and it is extremely effective. And then when it takes the element of a band of widows, widows who decide to embark upon a heist, all of the emotional beats feel right. Also, it has what I think is probably the best villain portrayal that I've seen all year, which is Daniel Kaluuya, also of Get Out and Black Panther.
I
You
saw
guys-
him in the
I
trailer.
love him.
He is amazing in this movie. He is an asshole for the ages in this movie. He's absolutely pitch perfect. It's never too much. It's never too little, and he just chills you to the core. It only goes to shit in the last 10 minutes where it descends to the reason I didn't like McQueen's other movie, 12 Years a Slave, is because it dips into sentimentality a little too much. The characters that are left at the end standing are just a little bit too saintly. They're a little bit too altruistic. It's a little bit too movie. But up until that point, it is an extremely absorbing action/crime film, a great caper movie, and it's got a great central performance from Viola Davis. And
I'll watch anything.
I'll watch her
anything
anywhere,
with her.
yeah, she's amazing.
She was my favorite part of Suicide Squad.
Yes.
When they're
The only
like,
thing like it was Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
oh my god,
forgot she was
and Margot Robbie. It's like
I was Margot Robbie. I thought
She
was
tried.
my favorite like Viola Davis thing is like she nailed the wall. That's what they call Amanda Waller. And
Yeah. I know.
Just throwing it out there for everybody. I know
she's a powerhouse.
Oh yeah,
And I
She is
love that
somebody
she's
who I
being
could-
recognized as a powerhouse.
goddamn right, because it's like
she's an anchor for movies now.
Yeah.
You put her in a movie because you know she's going to anchor.
she is a literal you run up against the wall and you get squished. That's like no other no other character actor could pull it off for me.
Well, and I feel
Love Viola
like she
Davis.
elevates other actors.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, in a scene with her, it really
Oh, yeah.
doesn't matter.
There's-
You will become better acting
That's
against
a
her.
great point because I really get that sense from Widows. All of the scenes where she's interacting with other characters, you feel like that level is just going up. You feel like that level of urgency is going up. You feel like everyone who is in that scene is completely locked in emotionally.
Like she makes Michelle Rodriguez actually try.
would
And
be
that's,
my-
a,
I
and that's
Michelle
a
Rodriguez-
different
Michelle
talent
Rodriguez.
because there's really strong
Bob,
actors.
high five. Michelle Rodriguez, garbage
fucking
tier
awful.
actor. I'm glad you died. I'm
But
lost.
there's actors who, when they're so good that against other actors, they make how bad the other actor is stand out.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like she does the opposite. She's so good.
She makes
other people look good, and that's a talent.
And that's interesting because yes,
She's a
I'm not
foundation.
I'm not a gigantic Michelle Rodriguez fan myself, but she's actually very effective in the movie.
Tony.
She is very effective in the movie. So
I'm
anyway,
lightweight.
so that's
I'm
an
nervous.
yeah. Widows is on my
I'm
to watch
lightweight.
list here soon, so we'll get to that.
I'll be really interested in hearing your guys' take on
Yeah.
it. Because
I'm
You
hoping
know,
to
I
get to
really
it
want
this
to see
week.
it. That's one of the things
Yeah.
I really want to have a take
It'll probably be on
on
disc, but I'll get to it soon.
Same.
So, my number 9 is Searching as well. So,
Hey!
so
Searching.
this is the first time
Go.
to repeat past. All right, we move right on to number 8.
I like,
Number
I
eight
like
for
though that we
Cody.
have the same one. That's
We all have the same tastes. So it works
That's
out.
true.
We have the same list.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna lick my hand. No, I don't. I can do it this way. Quiet Place, number 8. I watched that movie.
fun story, and it's also my number 8.
Well, wonderful. John
I thought we weren't going
Krasinski,
to divulge
I'm
numbers,
sorry.
but
It's the
since
same
it's a
number, so-
8,
yeah.
It's the same number, so
ever since
That's a
I
14
saw
for me,
this
but still
movie-
good.
And I bought it on Blu-ray because I had a gift card. Thanks to my sister Renee for giving me the Amazon gift card I wanted.
thank you, Renee.
Thank you, Renee. Jenny, take heed. Take heed. That's my other sister.
Anyway.
She won't ever listen to this. I love that movie. I watched it when I was on my vacation for my birthday. 3 a.m. in the morning, and I was about ready to go to sleep, and I was up. I was just so entrenched. It's a
engrossing.
intense movie.
Tense.
Beginning
yeah.
to end.
Intense. I mean, like from the beginning where the kid gets, spoiler alert, wrecked
It's
by
in the
that
trailer.
monster.
Yeah,
That's in the
yeah,
trailer.
you know it's
He
gonna
dies.
happen. Yeah.
Rip
Sets
kid.
the stakes, but right there says that anyone can die.
Anyone
and
can
anything
die
happen.
anytime. I love the world building that they do too.
Yes.
World building is huge for me. If you're gonna do a movie, especially something like this, post-apocalyptic, I want to know at least some hints.
Yeah.
And the newspapers in the background.
Yeah.
And the just the sense of like, oh my god, if something hears you, it's gonna come down, it's gonna fucking kill you. Because those aren't like weak monsters. Like,
No.
How they kill that monster, it takes a monumental effort. Emily Blunt's great in it. John
Yeah.
Krasinski's great in it. The kid actors.
And the directing, too.
Incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Incredible. I was amazed at the film. Like I said, because, I typically... I was going to, watch it and then watch it again the next
Yeah.
day, and I was just so engrossed. I'm sitting there 5 a.m. on my vacation just going... And it was done. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I want more. Give me more. And I'm excited for the next entry in the universe because it's so rich and there's so much to build off
And there's
of.
different ways to approach the same issue. Like Edge mentioned about world building, I like the fact that sometimes you see the fires that other people were out there.
Yes.
And you never really see them. Maybe you see, there's that one point where you see someone else.
Yeah.
But for the most part,
He's an
people are
idiot.
living
God.
on their own, doing their thing.
Yeah.
And on how I'd like to see how other an urban community
Yeah, how do you
survives that same
Yeah.
How do you
thing.
survive that? I mean,
Well, it seems like there's only 3 of them in that one particular area, so you probably could make noise for.
It's
you
not
still
like
take
a zombie
chance.
movie where
There's
you
a
have
zillion
just
of them.
masses of zombies.
There's one,
they're
and it
there,
might
but
be
you
in
don't
your
mess
area.
with them.
Yeah.
But, and that's what I liked about, when the, you can even see, the military post, hey, we can't protect you, you're fucked, pretty much. And I appreciate that. I love that about world building. Even the Dawn of the Dead remake, they do a world building, side thing. Mm-hmm. It's like, you gotta build your world if you're gonna...
You have to be specific about it, too. One, I'm a big fan of ASL in TV shows, ASL in movies, and that representation. The fact that they used an actual deaf actress was well done.
Oh, yeah.
Well done. Not casting a hearing actress.
When I
Yeah.
love a movie, I look up everyone involved. Mm-hmm. And I looked that up, I'm like, they cast that well.
Oh, she's
I heard she's
she's
great in
stunning.
Wonder too.
Yeah.
I didn't see. Was it Wonder she was in?
Yeah,
I didn't see that, but
Wonder was the one with that kid who looks like Emperor Palpatine, right?
yes. But isn't
I'm sorry.
she's in that or something
She's
like
in,
it?
She's been
She's
popping up
feel
on
bad for
TV,
that
guest
kid.
starring
Yeah.
in a bunch of
Like, he
things
can't
too.
even shoot electricity out of his hands.
Jacob Tremblay is great though.
It's one, and I think a big part of it for me too is, again, you have really strong actors anchoring it, and it really brings when you have a really strong cast, they can elevate almost anything.
Oh yeah.
And I think in lesser actors, in a lesser director, this could have been a run-of-the-mill like sci-fi movie. But everything was so specific. I'm really impressed with Krasinski's directing.
That was the thing that really just amazed me. It's like, he didn't let any plot holes happen.
No.
It's like, oh, okay, no, this is happening because this happened because this happened. It's not like, oh, yeah, he made a noise, but that's okay because plot armor. It's like, no. That little fucker made a noise. He gonna die.
Yeah.
His family gonna die. Everyone gonna die. I'll shut up, Bob. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, sorry. No, I was gonna say that what I think shows how well effective it was is that I was reading about theatrical experiences of people saying their theaters were silent. Like when Kim and I saw it with my wife, our theater was silent as hell. Like I didn't even want to open my water.
Yeah.
But remember that when the baby cried in the movie, someone yelled shh
my
behind
God.
us.
Fuck off.
So we're like, and then we realized it was the baby in the movie, not the baby in real life.
But you just flinch at it.
But no one farted for more than a year.
You had to be silent.
Come on, I mean,
silent
you
but
gotta work
deadly.
it out.
Silent
I mean,
but
with no
deadly.
Taco Bell,
You
there's
can
no
you can
tornado
squeeze
diarrhea
you
in
can
the toilet,
sneak
but
it
still.
out.
You can sneak them.
Not that I would know for sure.
I do. I own it. Carolyn, I'm so sorry.
But I was reading about on Reddit if people talking about their own theatrical experiences where the same thing happened. Like normally in a crowd, there's always people making noise. But like we saw it on a screening for a pre-screening,
so
which are normally loud as
noisy.
hell because
Yeah.
people will get entitled because they get a free movie.
Shit, free movie.
Yeah, so people get it. Like when I saw, was it not Shape of Water? Cure for Wellness. There was this woman behind us the entire time talking and would not shut the hell up. And it happens every time I go to a pre-screening.
Same thing with the
That's
Nun.
Nun, yeah.
Oh Lord, everything's
Yeah,
I
that
saw the Nun in 40X, so my experience was different on a lot of levels. But
40X is where the Nun actually comes out and just starts beating the shit out of you, right?
40X, the Nun was me giggling my ass off as I was on like a roller coaster ride and everyone else screaming and I was going wee. Anyway,
That's
Anyway, yeah.
something.
So, Quiet Place was
Quiet Place.
Yeah.
really sold its
Yeah.
concept well,
See
did
it.
everything
Wonderful.
well.
see it.
I would
It's
see
fantastic.
that movie
And
again.
accessible for
Hardcore.
non-horror fans.
Yes.
Yes.
It's an
Just
excellent
enough.
movie if you're not a
I
horror
would
fan.
even show that to Carolyn, and Carolyn is a gigantic pussy.
No,
I love
I-
you, Carolyn. But she wouldn't even go see it with me. You fucking.
Well, you saw it with us, so it's okay.
It's- so
It's
good.
true.
Anyway, Tony, what's your
Love you both
number 8?
non-sexually.
Oh, my number 8. Let me consult my master
Since
list here.
since Kim and Tony agreed on
It was
it.
my number 8 as well, so we're gonna bypass.
Oh, yeah.
My number 8 is, drumroll please, Hereditary.
I'm
Hereditary,
glad
higher
someone's
on my
bringing
list.
that up. I'm glad someone's
Sorry,
bringing it
it's
up.
You know,
it's on my list. That's
Yeah,
where it was.
it's very interesting because my initial reaction to the movie was I felt a little bit cold towards it. It felt to me like it was a little bit too. It felt like it was a little bit too studied. It felt like it was a little bit too cold. And upon a second viewing, it seemed, with hindsight, that was A, part of the aesthetic, and B, part of what made it really super effective.
Right.
Yes.
Because there is a scene about a third to halfway through the movie.
36 minutes in to be exact.
Thank you. A death that is the most impactful
yeah.
statement on death, on death's inevitability.
You know,
And the sequence that comes right after that is just
Absolutely.
I
tears
will
your
straight
heart
out
out.
just say another grief film because, oh, my dad died, and that's so sad. But it is, and it's just it deals with that grief.
Yeah.
Like when
It's
she's at the grief meeting, spoiler alert, and she's like, I don't even know how somebody could help me. I'm like,
Yeah.
right there.
That's it.
it's the
Bingo.
dark,
Nobody knows.
deep despair version of
It's-
grief. It's the
It's not
deep
even like it's
black
like,
hole.
It's black hole. I mean, like I've never experienced grief that much. So Carolyn was crying during the moment. I'm like, do we have to leave?
It's not only does it's so shocking.
Oh God!
It's so shocking, but then everything that happens afterwards, do we spoil this? Do we not spoil this?
I think we can.
vaguely.
I think we can spoil it if we say, "Hey, from now on until the end of Hereditary, we're spoiling it."
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey,
Sure.
we're spoiling it. Kid head come off.
I mean, yeah,
One, but again, it was for me. It was the sequence of the fact that then the older son keeps
Driving.
he drives
Yeah.
home.
and that's
'Cause
the-
he
goes
checks
to
out.
bed.
Yeah.
And he doesn't say anything. He
No?
completely checks
and then you hear the
And they're
parents
not
say,
like-
"Oh, good, they're home. We can go to bed."
Yeah.
You
and
hear
they're not like, "Oh yeah, well this happened." Lol, kid
No.
dies. It's like, and you see Tony Collette just
Tony Collette's
sobbing
response
and
to
just,
it is
You hear it from
Yeah.
him being in bed, and man, that was just...
It's
I
extremely...
can't even imagine.
It's one of those movies that I think... I'm not actually... ironically enough, I'm not a huge fan of the supernatural direction it takes in the last fourth. For me, it's most effective when it's a psychological drama / horror movie. And so for me, everything up until things start to get supernatural is like, as far as I was concerned, and I'm normally a huge fan of supernatural horror, for me, it sort of tapers off a little bit when it gets supernatural. Because I feel like it does such a good job of capturing the dynamics of grief and the conflict that goes on, and how some people will completely shut down. I mean, it's utterly reprehensible, but yet completely psychologically plausible that the son doesn't say anything. He comes home after this horrendous thing has happened, and he curls up in bed, and it's like
he doesn't know how.
He doesn't know how exactly.
Even when my dad passed of cancer, and we knew it was going to happen, and when he died, I just went numb. Like when he died, I remember holding his body and just sobbing, and then they took him away, and I was numb for a few days. It was just horrible. And this movie encapsulates that, so I respect it. But also, I own it on Blu-ray, and I just can't bring myself to watch it again.
Well, and that's where it's why I couldn't put it on my list. I kept struggling with it because when I first left the theater, I was like, that was amazing. I don't know if I liked it, but it was amazing.
It is really, I mean,
force.
It did, it was an oscillating choice for me. I was thinking for a long time that I was going to put something else more, as you had noted, entertaining, more fun, something that...
But it had that emotional connection.
It had an immense emotional connection, and I think it does what it does for the first 4/5 at least super well. And Toni Collette, I mean,
she doesn't get nominated.
It's a masterclass in acting.
Oh,
exactly.
Like, it is
I will be outside. I will
She
fly to
is
LA
stunning.
and personally punch them in
The dinner sequence when everything is kind of like when the emotional dam bursts there, it's like that's not a supernatural sequence. That's just people being people.
And again,
that's where it just kind of clicks.
From a grief standpoint, I've had that moment.
Yeah. And it's so, like, the grief is so thick in that film. It just... It's not an easy movie to watch.
Not
it's
at all.
That, like, I had friends asking me, non-horror friends for the most part, who were like, "Oh, should I go see this?" And I was like, "No, you should not."
But said,
you
and
will
if
not
you can
do
make
well
it, you
in
can
this.
make. Like Allison made it 30 till Charlie's death, and then the little bit after it, and she was crying so hard. She's like, "Why do people make this? Why do people enjoy this?" She's not gonna. I told her what happened for the rest. She's like, "Okay, we're cool," and she's not gonna watch the next hour and a half.
It's not an easy watch. It's a mind
really
fuck.
isn't.
And again, I struggled with, did I like this movie? But it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Man.
I liked it for how I hated the way it made me feel, but also liked the way it made me feel. Because it connected that much and was so well made in that way.
Yeah.
That's why it
got
ended up
deep
on my list.
deep in my heart.
When that emotional dam breaks, it can be the worst. Ask my brother. He was the recipient of that. Our emotional dams broke at the same time over an issue. I won't go in too far into detail in it, but we ripped each other to shreds.
Yeah.
And it's not fun, and I regret that moment. It's just a moment that you wish you could take back that could never happen. You could tell Toni Collette feels that way afterwards. She's like, "Oh my God, what have I said to my son?" Yeah. It's like, "Oh my God, what have I said to my brother? I haven't spoken to him in 5 years because of that." It's like I can't imagine him being responsible. It would just be horrible.
And then her guilt continues throughout the rest of her dream sequences. Like when she has that, when she dreams about setting him on fire again, and then she talks about, "I never wanted you. You ruined my life." And that then turned out was a dream. It's all it's how much she's internalizing her grief because she can't. And so she puts it into the dolls instead. Yeah. And I think it's so fitting that so much of the thematic notion is these miniatures she's making because it's a miniature of your own life and other people's lives.
I mean, and that's another thing. I mean, people have quibbled about how the symbolism is very heavy-handed, but I think it goes hand in hand with the emotional catharsis of the movie.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
really think, although it's rather broad swatches on a palette,
but so's grief.
Thank you. Exactly. When you are in that state, you are dealing with
it's not subtle.
Thank you. There is no subtlety to losing someone that you love that is very close to you. It is a sledgehammer blow to your soul, and so on that level, it was extremely effective. But it also felt
that's not
artfully rendered. Excuse me.
No, I mean, I most equate it to being kicked in the balls, and then as you're getting
I hate when that
recovering from kicking the balls, they kick you again, and they'll let you recover for about 20 minutes, and they kick you again, and a fourth time, and a fifth time. It's just gut punch, dick punch, whatever you want to call it, the movie. I'm so sorry, Bob.
It's all right. All right.
You're doing the penis thing.
I have
So
a
we have
penis,
a-
but you know,
It's okay.
it's really resilient. It
It's
doesn't
a
feel
nice
lot of
penis.
stuff.
We've all seen it.
It
We've
My
all
penis
enjoyed
is
it.
the best penis.
Hashtag Kim Penis number 1.
That's it. We've got a new online trend going.
Boom. All right.
So anyway, Hereditary.
No,
Tony
thank you.
Collette-
to bring
Thank
things
you.
down.
Yeah, Tony
No.
Collette needs all the
She needs
nominations.
all
If
of
she
the
doesn't get
awards.
the award for that,
Oh,
that's a
really?
load of bullshit.
But that
I will
also is
cry.
very telling about the stigma towards horror films.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and there's a stigma towards
shit.
mental illness that film
Yeah.
avoids too.
Yeah.
Is, you know, I freely admit I have depression, I have anxiety, and I take medicine for it.
Yeah.
And people
As do
sometimes
many of us, yes.
Yeah, I mean, like I have a current situation at work where a guy's threatened to kill himself, and he can't come in the store because we're afraid, you know, he's going to come in and do something.
Right.
And it's a stigma. It's like, I don't want this person to get fired. I don't want to get fired. I don't want anything bad to happen to anybody. But they need to get properly treated. You need to get looked at. And, you know, sometimes, you know, after a death, it fucks you up. I went from completely normal high school student, you know, I'm about to go to college, to my whole life changed in a minute. 6 months, but a minute.
This is going to be a 3-part episode, isn't it?
Maybe, I don't know. We'll find out. Who
69
knows? Well, I think as we get further up the list, we're like,
number.
I talked about that. Oh, I talked about that. So I think a lot of the...
We're going to start getting there.
We're
Just
going to start
remember
up
your
the
numbers, yeah.
repetitions.
We are.
But yeah, I was just looking to make sure she wasn't even nominated for a Golden Globe for that, so really hope the Oscars.
No, I don't, and she wasn't nominated for
The
SAG
fuck?
either.
Which is strange. Like, did they not-
Bullshit.
But the Golden Globes are bullshit.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, I'm sorry, they're
Yeah,
they
bullshit.
are bullshit.
You're
So
pretty
Golden
good.
Globe
That's a whole other
might as well
podcast.
just
but
be-
that's
that's
a whole.
like-
Cheers to that.
So,
my
like,
friends.
award shows is one of the list of
Cheers.
anything you put on the list for the
this.
future.
AM PM cut.
Wow, and his
in
noise
the
just went
couch.
up on the thing. So I think Hereditary is something we all probably have somewhere
Yeah,
on our
it's
list.
Yeah.
further up on my list
yeah.
than you guys have it, but I'm not bragging or anything.
And then I'm gonna keep on with something that's also a little depressing, but not as depressing. But my number 8 was the remake of Suspiria.
I haven't
It's on
seen
my
it.
list.
No,
And I
haven't
will
seen
say
it.
no more, but
Don't
it's on my
spoil
list.
nothing.
We won't
for
spoil
me.
anything for you.
Actually, I already read the spoilers.
It's on my
I know
list.
what happens.
Then you
I-
said
I-
before you read spoilers before you watch
Oh,
movies
yeah.
for whatever reason. I don't.
I will like Star Wars. Like that's my game. I will straight out like seek out. I'm like, okay, what can I spoil for myself? I'm a
no spoiler person. So we're gonna try and say unspoilery.
I'm
as we
indifferent
can
if spoilers
for-
happen, but
I know what happens, and I know. Holy fuck, I'm gonna like it, but I gotta wait for it to come out on Blu-ray.
And
it's higher on my list.
That's
all I'll say.
Yeah, I was debating like where it'd be ultimately,
This
but
whiskey
it's
is very nice.
like I love the original so much. It's one of my
Oh my
favorite,
God.
and I know
The
it's one of
original-
Tony's favorite. Tony, he just walked out for a
Tony
second.
is
But Tony
the
is the biggest super fan of
Oh, yeah.
Suspiria I ever know.
He
He
is-
interviewed Jessica Harper like
Yeah.
4 nights in a row
because he's
last
so
Halloween.
cool, and like one weekend of his whole life beats everything I've done.
He's
in
missing
mine.
us talking about how cool he is.
Yeah.
I love you, Tony.
But
peeing?
so the new the new Suspiria, like the first one, I think is more entertaining as a film, but it's also.
See, and it's
I
funny.
think-
I have the opposite.
But I find this new to be way more put together.
I find the new one to be, and again, this is one of the few times I'm going to pull out the vagina card. I found it so compelling,
Oh, absolutely.
and I could not look away from it. And I found, even though
I heard Tilda Swinton
Plays
really does
3 roles.
There's
yeah,
like
amazing.
4 roles.
3.
yeah.
And speaking of fake penis, vagina, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
No, it's
Tilda
out.
Swinton is just
Yeah.
fucking incredible, and I haven't seen the
Yeah.
movie. You're back, Tony. You're cool. We all love you.
We're talking about
thanks.
for
Don't
Suspiria,
ever-
which,
Tony's cut off.
which Tony had
Yeah,
the
do not let me have
No.
any more.
We're talking about how you had the good luck of
Too many fluids.
you had the good
A lot
luck
of
of
water.
meeting Jessica Harper and talking with her about
Yeah, 'cause
Suspiria
he thinks
multiple times last
he's
year.
the coolest, and he's right.
Yeah.
What's really interesting is I wanted a chance to see Suspiria a second time to really congeal an opinion on it more, because the first time I saw it, and I was on another podcast actually talking about this, I felt like
We're not your first.
You're
Not
not.
with
We're not his
Suspiria.
podcast,
Yeah,
Cherry. I'm
Suspiria.
sorry.
sorry guys. Let me preface this by saying I am maybe one of the biggest fans of the original film around.
We prefaced
That's
that
what we were talking
already.
about.
Good. I was using the bathroom.
I mean, he makes me look like a fucking dork when it comes to it.
Italian
That's how
horror
much he
film.
loves it.
And that's saying something.
That is saying something. Speaking of which, we need to bond over that stuff at some point in the
do.
very near future.
Anyway,
I agree.
continuing Suspiria.
That said, on the subject of Suspiria, I always go into remakes with an open mind, and the things that I always put up for exhibit for that are the Maltese Falcon, which was the third try at the same novel, and John Carpenter's version of The Thing.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Which, while it's not technically a remake, it is another interpretation.
And it leads
Another
right
the
into
story.
the Christmas Chronicles.
So
same
I
thing with,
actually went into Suspiria very optimistic, and I went into it wanting the best from it. When I came out, my thought about it, and again I articulated this in not as much words at another podcast, is I love cilantro. Cilantro is one of those things that I love throwing into salads and
Dude,
salsas.
cilantro is just the fucking best.
Yes.
My guinea pigs love it too.
But there's a small percentage of the population. Okay, the Maker's Mark is taking its effect. There's a small percentage of the population that when they taste cilantro, they taste soap. Or something untoward.
Yeah.
If you are that person, stop listening.
Yeah, thank you. For me, the remake of Suspiria was cilantro, and I was that 10%. At least for the first viewing. There is a huge amount that I found to respect in the movie. I was enraptured with the level of ideas and subtext that they put in. The movie is made with a lot of craftsmanship by Luca Guadagnino. I think that it engages in so many wonderful and intellectually provocative ideas. It's set as a period piece. I loved the way that the movie takes an interesting contrarian tack to the original. It's like every point in the remake where, along the structure of the original movie, Argento takes a left, Guadagnino takes a right. And he literally does that throughout.
Now, I have a question.
Yes.
How do they utilize Dakota Johnson? Because I know 50 Shades gives her a bad reputation,
She's
but I've always
a decent
thought
actress.
that
She's great in this.
Yeah.
great.
This was
I
the movie
wouldn't
that
be in
made
the
me
crowd.
say, "Oh, you can act."
She's very interesting in it. And
Yeah.
again, getting back to if you're really super familiar with the original movie, which I am,
Yeah.
all of the different detours that this remake takes are fascinating. You're looking at a color palette in the original 1977 version that is completely awash in primary colors and is just absolutely
It's gorgeous.
psychedelic in its wildness. In this remake, everything is visualized in a very muted fashion, almost like an autumnal fashion, but with very strategic injections of color. It's really beautifully wrought. So you've got that divergence. In the original, you have the Goblin score, which is absolutely all about sensory overload. Thank you. Yes. And the Tom York score in the new one is
Which
much
I got
more
for Christmas.
ambient
I love
and much more
the
subtle.
score. I
love the score too.
Yeah.
I've
That
listened to
served
the
the film
score.
very well.
It's
for the most
minimal
part,
and it's
I will agree
solid.
with that.
I listened to the score on Google Play or whatever
Yeah.
membership I have.
And
It's incredible. And I haven't seen the movie.
Yeah,
And I'm already
I'm a
into it.
huge Radiohead Tom York fan. So for me, it's like pulling the pleasure nuts. Now that said, the movie is 2 hours and 32 fucking minutes long. It is too long for a horror movie.
But see, and again, and this is where I pull the vagina card a little bit.
Oh, okay.
In that I saw
Just
the
hide the
movie
penis.
with 2 other women, 2 non-horror fan women. And we all fucking loved it. We fucking loved it. And a lot of it was, and this is something I will rarely say of a male director making a movie that's almost entirely women. And this movie is virtually all
Exactly.
Besides the 2 policemen,
Besides the 2
everyone's
policemen,
played by women.
Everyone's played by women. That is a spoiler in saying that.
I respect that.
I think everyone
I
knows
think
that Tilda's the dude.
You know, it's amazing. Some people don't.
Oh, fair
I've talked to some people. I mean, not horror fans,
Yeah.
but I have a few friends who are going to see it who I haven't told
And
yet. But
only a handful of times did I see that was her playing it.
yeah, she has a
it's
few
couple,
tells.
There's a
but-
couple words that she said, or
Oh,
a
yeah.
certain angle where that's Tilda.
Yeah.
Who's my favorite actress.
But
I
the
might
2
say.
women I was with didn't know. They knew something was up. One of them said to me afterwards, they're like, is there a reason that they aged that actor so much with the makeup? And I explained why. But so I saw this
even
movie.
I'm sorry to interrupt. She said that she played a dude playing him.
Yes.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
kind of like Robert Downey Jr. I'm playing a dude, playing another dude.
Yes,
playing
exactly.
a third dude.
I saw this movie with two other women. We all had really strong reactions to it, and I think it's really rare for me that I will give a male director accolades for their portrayal of women, because usually they don't get it right.
Yeah.
And this is a rare instance where I left that being like, "Fuck yeah, you got some women's issues," and as a woman, it really hit me, and I never felt the time. 2.5 hours went by like that for me.
yeah, I thought it was so well paced.
It felt it's like I knew going in. I was like, it's 2.5 hour long movie, and I didn't feel the time. And that's how I know I'm connecting with something when I'm not, because I'm slightly ADD. I'm like, squirrel, what? Shiny, what? And I was enraptured the entire time.
You got it under the spell of the witches.
I was and I mean a lot of it too was Tilda Swinton. She's
riveting in the movie.
She's
There's
riveting.
no denying, and the fact that she plays so many characters.
Yeah.
This is something that would seem like super gimmicky if it were a lesser actor doing it, but the fact that she's doing it and really genuinely pulling it off. And I also, again, getting back to the fact that the movie takes all of these contrarian turns, I found it fascinating where, again, sensory overload score by Goblin, really subtle ambient score by Tom York.
And I think that, even though I haven't seen it, I think that's a good idea to take some new turns with the remake. Don't just do the same
it
thing.
is.
Yeah. Even in setting, I thought was really interesting.
The better understanding of the school, of the coven.
The reason why it didn't work and why I want to see it again, because again, people such as yourself have offered very eloquent defenses of this movie, is that for me it felt like after a while the movie became a study in contrarianism for its own sake. It kind of felt to me like it was almost like you would hit a specific aesthetic crossroads and Guadagnino would do like the exact opposite thing that Argento did just to do the exact opposite thing that Argento did. And so for me, it kind of felt like a ways into the movie, it stopped being an interesting exercise in doing something different from the original, and it started feeling like contrarianism for its own sake. That was part of it. And also, I was a little bit bothered, and I'm normally not one for short attention span theater. I'm happy to watch a movie that's over 2 hours, but this being 2 hours and 32 minutes, I could feel the seams, for me at least, after a while.
My only issue with the pacing in that case was I think there's a little too much of the Doctor, Tilda's other character.
Right.
But I understand why they were going for that, and you got Jessica Harper in that sequence too. But and I think
my fluttering heart,
she makes essentially a cameo experience.
She makes a cameo,
but
it's a very
one.
pivotal.
Yes.
It's a very important.
It's very important.
And what they're doing with him and her in that is very important for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
So I understand why I probably could have done a little bit better, but I think, but yeah, going back to me, it's like the reason that I think really worked for me in that case, like it's very, you talk about contrarianism, but I also think it's a very unconventional film in the way it was shot and the way it was edited. Like the way it was edited was, after I got out, I was thinking about it and I was thinking like, it's edited and shot in a way that if an amateur was doing this or someone without much of control, it would come off really awful.
Yeah.
Like, it's this person doesn't know how to edit. This person doesn't know how to shoot. But since he knows exactly what he's doing, it comes off as a masterpiece.
Yeah, and this is exactly why I want to see the movie again.
Yes.
Because
I've ordered it on Blu-ray. So.
Dude, okay, I know who I'm borrowing it from. I mean, there were little things that I love. I'm a huge Tom York Radiohead fan, so I love the score and I love the two ballads in it. But the finale of the movie, one of those ballads, spoiler alert, is playing over the finale of the movie, which I think is just ridiculously executed. It's all set in kind of pixelated slow motion, like a Nine Inch Nails video, with people's heads popping like fucking pimples.
I love that.
And it's like, I mean, I loved it too, but when you've got this, melancholy, contemplative Tom York ballad going, I can understand trying to do the contrast, but at the same time, it's like,
you had me at 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah. But anyway, but it is a work that does not besmirch the original's legacy, and I want to see it again. I mean, I was hoping that I would get a view in by the time I did this podcast, but unfortunately I didn't. But I do definitely want to see it again.
And I'll be real with you. The fact that you have such glowing things to say about it puts me at ease, because you and I have the same kind of...
We reach, my friend. We reach, yes.
My man.
Italian horror cinema.
It's on my list, but it's further up my list.
So Suspiria was my number 8, so it moves us around to number 7s.
That's
Cody.
Respect your opinion.
Cody.
So,
I'm going to say
And
it.
it's a vagina holder. I think my opinion sometimes
okay.
is different for different reasons. But
Wow,
sorry.
way to talk over my
I'm
Black
sorry.
Panther review. Black Panther.
Black
number
Panther,
7.
all right.
I love that movie.
And that's on my list, but further down as well.
Just straight up.
and
I mean,
it's on my list.
That's
So
on my
further down.
4 out of
and I
5
was
era.
marveled out. I saw that movie because Carolyn wanted to see it, and she was like, "Come on, let's go see it." And I got a new phone. We were right next to the theater. I'm like, "Fine."
Okay, I was going to say, what's that have to do with it?
No,
But that makes
it
sense.
was literally right next to the theater, and I'm like, "Okay, we had Movie Pass at the time, and it still worked."
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, "Okay, you know what? We'll go see it." And yeah,
Those halcyon
it was
days.
Marvel by the book,
Yeah.
but it was good Marvel by the book.
When...
Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger.
Oh my god!
I'm
One of the best villains.
I'm sorry.
One of the
He's
best villains
the star
in
of
it.
that film.
Yeah.
He is the star. Of that
I'm
film.
like,
Killmonger had a point.
I'm like,
Thanos
wow,
had a
okay,
point.
well, Killmonger has a point. Stop Black Panther. Don't stop him. He's doing good in a weird way, but still, he's doing good. I liked it. I mean,
and the most three-dimensional villain.
Oh
of
yeah.
Well,
a long time.
what's great about it is
Because it wasn't
Killmonger.
just, oh, I'm evil. I'm evil.
No.
Well, Killmonger has his ideas, just says the wrong way to execute
Yeah.
it, which
Yeah.
is important for a
But
villain.
but he's actually given a backstory. He's given layers. He's given depth.
I appreciate that they didn't just, oh, he's just a black evil version of Black Panther.
No.
He's got layers to
Yeah.
him. And I appreciate that Martin
'Cause-
Freeman wasn't the white savior too.
Yeah.
He was a dude who got shot and he's helping Wakanda. He's not, oh,
You don't speak here.
thank you, Wakanda. I am the white savior. I will tame you. No, and it was really nice about that.
Everett Ross is a tool.
Beautiful world building.
I think you were saying earlier that it's a Marvel movie, but it's better than that.
Yeah.
I honestly think that even by those standards, it is above and beyond and outside the conventional Marvel universe. I think it is a wonderful, a beautifully rendered kind of, I would almost say fairy tale. People have slagged it for its visual sense because it is very unreal looking in places. But for me, it worked. It's a fucking, you're looking at like a fictional world. You're looking at a magical
it's
fantasy world.
consistent, too.
And
It's a really
exactly, it
consistent
sets up
visual
rules
world.
and it stays with them.
Huge Black Panther fan.
Yeah.
No, me too.
I always
Yeah.
loved Black Panther.
Yeah.
Ever since I started reading Marvel comics in 2012 with AVX, and Wakanda gets wrecked in that. Spoilers for a 6-year-old comic. But, it takes Wakanda and it puts it on screen. I'm like, that's Wakanda.
Yeah.
Holy shit. They didn't like, oh, Wakanda's just this small developing village. Wakanda's great. Black Panther himself great. Angela Bassett's great in the movie.
Yeah.
And the fact that they did M'Baku without calling him Man-Ape.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank
I was
Oh
worried
my
about
god,
that.
I was so worried. I'm like, they're going to call him Man-Ape. They're going to call him Man-Ape. They didn't call him Man-Ape.
But I love the design
Loved
of
it.
his area, his character traits,
Yeah.
and like and playing with not the conventions, but how certain characters used to be treated in the past with like the cannibalism thing. He's like, oh, that's gonna we're vegetarians, and that's kind of like just turning around like
Yeah,
how it probably in the comics from like
And even-
40 years ago he would be a cannibal,
and Black
or
Panther
longer
was
than that before.
progressive in the
Yeah.
60s. Because I remember
Yeah.
Jack Kirby said, they're like, you got to put white people in there. So he put the Klan in there and had Black Panther beat the shit out of them.
One of the I go back a little ways longer than you guys, but
It's okay, Tony.
I started reading Black Panther in the mid to late 70s, and it was the first truly socially progressive comic that actually dealt with real world racial issues, and it made a profound impression on me. And I think one of the beauties of this new film is that it touches a little on those issues, but it also does not do so in disservice to the characters and the situations.
And
It's not a club over
that
the
was
head
the
either.
beautiful thing about it, especially when they're at the end, and spoilers.
Everyone's seen Black Panther. Everyone and their mom and their grandma and
they're
their
actually
unborn
helping that
kids
inner
have seen
city
it.
community where
Yeah.
Killmonger grew up, and it's not just like, oh, we're the white black saviors. We're coming in to save you. No, it's like, no, we're here to work with you. We're here to.
Yeah.
I took Killmonger's words to heart because Killmonger, bad dude, murderer, but he had some good points.
Well, and the thing is, you're in good territory with a comic book movie when the heavy that's like basically, again, spoiler alert, 86th, like less than halfway into the movie, is so fucking awesome you can almost want a movie out. I mean, Andy Serkis as Ulysses in that. He's so terrific. He's like so wonderfully larger than life.
This is Andy Serkis,
in the
because
best
that's what he
possible way. And it's like,
Fish.
I could have, if he would have stayed the bad guy in the whole movie, I would have been totally chill with it. But then
I'm glad he didn't.
Exactly. It throws in that extra layer with the Killmonger character, which is just really, and it works so nicely.
It's like great characters, like the women characters are all.
I was going to say,
instantly,
it's no big deal. The thing is, it's no big deal.
Suri's awesome. I can't remember her name, but
Okoye. She's Michonne from The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
and I was going to say, I already have.
She's always in it. And then, of course, Lupita Nyong'o. I can't pronounce her name.
But Lupita
Nyong'o, yeah.
I have the most
she's
massive,
amazing.
epic. That woman is an extremely gifted and wonderful actress with a huge amount of range, and she's breathtakingly beautiful.
She's so
and on a big screen, oh my god.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Tony gets it.
Yeah.
Everybody gets it.
Yeah.
Black Panther's great. If you haven't seen it, you're a DC fanboy. And still go see it because I saw.
Yeah, it made my 5 out of 5 in. It didn't make my top 20, but it did do very well.
I was just surprised because I was not that I thought Marvel was going to fuck T'Challa up, but they didn't fuck T'Challa up, and they did it in such a glorious way. And I really like the way they even portrayed Shuri well.
She's instantly iconic.
She's so much fun.
She's such a minor character in the comics,
but she stole that movie.
Yeah, she's adorable.
Yeah,
I want her and Peter Parker to meet.
I ship them now. I'm like,
I don't know if they shipped them out. They need to. Her and Peter Parker need to meet and just like meme off and like, and then Tony Stark's like, what the fuck is going on?
I ship older Peter Parker and Deadpool, but if we're keeping them younger, I kind of ship the two of them together.
Yeah, if Shuri and Peter Parker meet, it'll be amazing.
Fuck you,
we're gonna talk about that another time.
We'll
leave that to Marvel at the talk and let you guys argue that.
Fight now.
All right, so Black Panther.
Okay.
What
number are we on?
We are on number 7.
I probably shouldn't have said that the way I did.
My number 7 is Love, Simon.
Oh.
And movie. It was like a 90s rom-com, except where the main character was gay. And I loved it. I thought it was just charming. It was funny. It was sweet. It was just really a lovely movie. I thought the performances were great. I had so much fun watching it. And it's one of the ones that'll make it into the rotation of ones I watch again. Yeah,
that was a fantastic film. Like, the trailers made me roll my eyes. But the movie itself was utterly charming. Yeah.
The art of a really decent trailer that inarguably telegraphs the aesthetics of the movie that it's plugging. It's a lost art, period.
Yeah.
I can't count the number of times I have seen a shit trailer for a movie that I loved.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Enough said on that topic, and it sounds like that's the case with this.
Yeah, but it was just really a sweet, fun movie, and again, it stuck with me because I was a big fan of, I loved the teen rom-com when I was a teenager. And they were a really big thing when I was growing up. There was you had 10 Things I Hate About You. You had,
I love 10 Things I Hate You. I straight up love that. That's not even guilty pleasure. That's just straight up pleasure.
It's a great, She's All That, like all of these really fun movies. And so there was definitely a little nostalgia for me as in terms of a modern version of some of those. And obviously not exactly the same thing, but I love the idea that we're at the point, too, where we can have a mainstream teen romantic comedy about a gay teen. Yeah. I thought that was... And again, fantastic performances, likable characters.
Yeah, so they have great charisma together. Like chemistry is the word I was trying to think there. But they have great chemistry. All the friends and
I just shut down any criticism of stuff like that. They're like, oh, it's gay. It's pro. Just shut the fuck up. Get out of here.
Lovely. It's
take
so
your
lovely.
Bible, take your cross, go fuck off. It's nice. Everybody deserves an equal share in movies, and that's what I've always thought. People bitch about Black Panther. It's like that's one superhero movie. You know how many white superheroes I have? That's not fair. If I grow up with 8 million superheroes I can choose from. Oh, well, this person looks like me. This person does me. A black kid, anybody, I'd be able to grow up with a superhero that looks like them, that represents them.
Absolutely, and I think it's a cliche at this point. a welcome cliche, but representation matters.
It matters so
Especially
much.
if you are a gifted enough storyteller to where you can make it NBD. No big deal.
And there's a great sequence in the movie where they go through, like, Simon talks about the fact that he wishes that everyone had to come out. And there's this great sequence of all these different characters in the movie coming out as straight. And their parents' reactions and being like, this is your father's side! This is your father! And it was really, really such a lovely moment, because it was the humor, the heart involved in this. And again, this is where I came back to when I was making my list. This is a movie I will rewatch. This is a movie that my teens were talking about for months.
Yeah, it's definitely. I would see definitely resonate. We're in our 30s, so we're not teenagers anymore. But definitely would resonate with teenagers. Like,
it so much did. Yeah, it really. They when I hadn't seen it yet, and I was in rehearsal with some of my teenagers, and they were talking about it, and they're like, Miss Kim, have you seen this? And I was like, I haven't yet. Like, you have to see this movie. And it was really heartening, too, to see their reaction to it. And it's theater kids, so of course they're going to like anything where you have, But that's just it. Representation matters. Yeah. And it's just a lovely, lovely movie.
Oddly enough, that's one of the things I kind of rolled my eyes at the beginning. Like, and I meant, being in our 30s and being in Seattle, which is much more progressive. Like,
it is.
So, like, did we really, like, they made a whole big thing about it coming out in the trailers. And, like, I'm secretly guys like, well, is anyone really is people still in the closet anymore? Yeah. We're always like, yes, kids are still in the closet, especially in Seattle. It's definitely easier to come out than, but as for some kid in Lincoln, Nebraska, this movie would probably change his life.
If my nephew was gay, he would have a hard time coming out. My brother is so conservative.
So I think sometimes we take it for granted how easy someone can out
his
here.
His parents are very progressive people, but it's something, I'm not straight. And it's something that being pansexual, being bisexual, whatever you want to call me. But I have very progressive parents, and yet have I fully had this conversation with them? And it's...
Doesn't your mom listen to this?
Just
kidding.
My mom kind of knows at this point, because I've told her I date women. But it's something that he even talks about, like, my parents will be cool with this ultimately, because they're cool people.
It takes the dad a second to come around.
It takes the dad a second to come around.
The conversation he has with the mom is heartwarming.
Oh, it's lovely.
It's great.
And then the conversation he ends up having with the dad, where the dad's like, I've made jokes, and I'm sorry. Like, I'm the worst. And he's like, it's okay. I knew that. But the fact that you can have progressive parents. You can have friends who are going to support you, and it's still really hard. It's not always an easy thing, and I really appreciate that they show that he has, like, he likes it. He even makes a point of saying, I love my sister, I would never tell her that, but she's awesome, and I have great parents, I have great friends, and they still don't know. I'm still struggling with this. It's not easy, and just because it's something that's become more culturally acceptable, and we get spoiled. We're all Seattleites.
Yeah,
we live in a very progressive area. Not everywhere in the country is, and the fact that our president is Donald Trump,
it can be very easy to disconnect from that reality. Absolutely.
And Donald Trump. I mean, again, I'm sorry, but we have a president who is actively trying to make some legislation that will once again make things hard for gay people or for trans people. So it's still something we need to be worrying about, representation, and we need to be telling these stories. And so,
I feel the same way. I mean, I have family that is like that.
Yeah,
and I'm like, dude, fuck off. It's in a nice way. It's like, come on, you have every right in the book. You're a straight white person. You can go. You can do what you like. You can do whatever you want, and nobody will say anything. There is no reason that somebody who's gay or somebody who's this or that shouldn't be able to go and have those same goddamn rights.
Exactly.
Go fuck off if you don't feel that way, because it's like you have every advantage, and I've known that since I was a kid. I've had every advantage thrown my way. I'm straight. I'm a white guy, or at least I identify as straight right now because I'm dating Carolyn. Carolyn and I are gonna get married, all that good stuff. But it's like, fuck off. You're so privileged. You see things through this one lens. And I appreciate the representations.
And the girl in me that just loves a good romantic comedy. I love a good romantic comedy.
A good one is a good one.
And this was a lovely romantic
parody
comedy.
movie with Chris Evans, the Not Another Teen movie.
Not Another Teen movie.
It's a solid movie. It's a good movie.
I saw that, and when he has the banana hanging out of his butt, it awakens some feelings in me, and I'm so
it's Chris Evans, so... Hey,
I mean,
we all love
Evans
Cap.
awakens some
We all love
feelings in
Cap.
me, but
Who doesn't?
I'm a straight
Yes.
dude, and Chris Evans
right?
awakens some things in me.
I'd be like, you
Yeah,
know what?
Oscar Isaacs can come home and be in.
It's like, Carolyn and I are in a thing. Chris Evans is like, hey man, let's be together. Be like, it's Captain America. I can't
It's
say
an
no.
understanding.
Yes, exactly.
And then Jason
Anyway.
Momoa shirtless.
Yes.
There you go.
Anyway,
And
so yeah,
Love
I
Simon.
appreciate
Kim loves
that.
Love Simon. I really enjoyed
that
it.
was my number 7.
Very, you guys liked it too.
Seven.
All right, Tony, number 7.
I'm doing number 7.
This is going to be a 3-parter, Bob.
Oh,
Yeah, we're at an hour and a half.
4-parter. It's going to be like
My number
Friday.
7
haven't gotten to our worst
is
yet.
another genre movie that I saw that was a surprising hit for me. It's a movie called Prospect.
Damn right. Woo!
That's in my honorable
Fuck
mentions.
yes,
and I
that's in
really
my honorable
struggled.
mention.
I wanted to put it
Yeah,
in my top 10.
that's in my honorable mentions
It was like number
easily.
11 for me.
Yeah, I think part of it for me is that I had the very good fortune of seeing it on a big screen.
We thought Tony and I watched it together. at
Yes,
Seth,
thank
yeah.
you.
And I saw it while it was rerunning at Regal recently. And
Yeah,
it was
and-
fabulous.
And it's one of those movies that, and we've talked about this before. It doesn't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
But it's a really strong family drama / western that it happens to be set on a far off planet
Yeah.
in a science fiction setting, and
Yeah.
it really does that very well. And one of the things that I love about Prospect is that it takes this very exotic science fiction world and it makes it no big deal and routine, and you get to see kind of the day-to-day functioning of people who are flying around in a spaceship that's literally duct taped together in an interaction to where they can actually.
It's it's a lived-in world.
Yeah,
and that's why
exactly.
it's 70s science fiction in that way.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. And in fact, this will come back later on my list. I any sort of science
whatever
fiction
you
film
give me.
that has a connection to kind of a 70s sensibility of an
Just like
increased amount of
maybe some
intelligence and an increased amount of kind of
That would be
socio-political
wonderful.
awareness, but still tells its story without feeling like it's making all of those beats with a sledgehammer, is great. And this movie is great at doing that. I was just really
I joked
pleased
about it
with
after we watched it, where it felt like talking about I love the prop design, love the
Yeah.
building design, that it was like they had a warehouse full of junk in Ballard, and it's like, all right, we need to make a spacesuit from this crap. How would you do that? And that's
Yeah.
what worked out. And
You're
not
gonna
like this
crack
looks
bag
cheap.
plastic.
It
Yeah.
looks solid. It looks like how.
Exactly. I mean,
2,000 years in the future,
Thank you.
we're on planets all over the place. This case, this planet is played by the Hoenn Forest here at Southwest Seattle.
Yeah, and
it's made by Seattle filmmakers with
Yeah.
Seattle crew and cast, and not maybe cast, but our friend Vanessa worked on it. So it's full disclosure, my friend Rachel worked on it.
It's funny that I keep almost running into Vanessa. I know who she is, and I'm pretty sure she knows who I am, but I've never actually had an interaction with her. I'm like, oh, she's in that. I'm not going to directly contact
she
her about
edited
it because
it,
it'd
but-
be weird. But I'm like, it's like one of those people I've always almost run into. I'm like, oh, Bob's like, oh, Prospect. And I almost went and saw it.
Yeah.
But I've heard good things. And again, I saw some trailers. I've seen some scenes. It looks
Yeah.
really, really cool.
It's really well worth seeing, and I think one of the other things that it instilled in me is that one of the key signs of a very robust film scene
Appreciate it.
is how varied and robust your genre films are. And so when I saw this movie, I saw a really solidly constructed little science fiction western, and I thought to myself, this is evidence that this region, the Pacific Northwest, is putting out very interesting genre films. This is a robust film scene. We're in an era where the technology is such that anybody who has some modicum of talent can get a movie made.
We
but
could
you
make something watchable.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
But
And again, a great world building too.
Yeah,
for
totally.
without having to do much, they made
Exactly.
just these little touches, but made a
Exactly.
very specific, really awesome world. And you said yes. You were like, oh, of course, I accept
exactly.
this.
And it helps that Sophie Thatcher was amazing.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
the performances were fantastic.
Jay
across
Duplass,
the board. Yeah.
Pedro Pascal. You had some really solid performers in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, and we're in an era, and this is probably the first time since the 70s where we're in an era where genre cinema is highly regarded enough and respected enough because the people who are running studios now grew up on this stuff to where you can actually see a genre movie that does what it's supposed to do effectively and still serves. If you took out all of the genre bits, if you took out all of the science fiction bits in Prospect, what you had left would be a pretty persuasive father-daughter family drama.
Yeah.
That is suddenly thrust into crisis. I won't go spoilery
Because this is one I think less people have seen.
Yeah,
and if you haven't, you
I don't want to
should.
spoil it.
And that's the thing I appreciate about this era is when I was growing up, everything was a cynical cash grab.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we can
The
make
90s.
X,
That's all
we can
the
make
90s
X
was.
dollars on this. Just do it. Send some shitty director out there. Even if I don't like every movie that comes out right now, if I can see there's effort behind it, that's wonderful. It's nice to see that somebody's taking the time and the effort and taking a chance on something like Hereditary. That never gets made 10 years ago.
Well, A24 is really helpful in that.
Yeah.
Because they give everyone the chances right across the board.
And,
A24 and Jason Blum, if people give Jason Blum shit, but fuck it. He's like, here's $10 million, go make your movie.
Yeah.
We'll put it out when it's done. And
Unless
hope
you're
it's
a
good.
woman.
Yeah, unless...
Yeah, unless you're a woman in which
Well, A24 is
there's
better
no
about that.
director.
One last
Just
shout
saying.
out for Prospect. The co-directors and co-writers are Zeke Earl and Christopher Caldwell. They really do their shit well. It's just one of those kind of sort of semi-undiscovered gems that I think anybody who's a genre fan really should check out. So
Yeah, definitely.
that's number 7 on my list.
It's definitely gotten a lot of buzz, a lot of traction, and hopefully it gets more now. It's coming out on DVD next month, and hopefully that really helps.
Absolutely.
So then I'm going to go to my number 7 here, which I know is further up on Cody's list based upon September, but I'm going to bring it up now. Spike Lee's new film, The Black Klansman. Or it's just Black Klansman, it's not the...
Okay, first of all, number 7, that's offensive, Bob, but
No,
whatever.
it's a great movie. Like, we're in the point where all my movies are great fucking movies.
Yeah.
It's really hard to pick, like... It's
The
a lot of,
order
like, if you
became
ask me a
real.
day,
Yeah.
like, ask me
Me
tomorrow,
too.
this might be, like, number 3. You know?
Yeah.
Okay, I think my first 3 are kind of set, but after that...
I didn't even rank mine, so
yeah.
fair enough.
And the Black Klansman is a return to form for Spike Lee, who kind of hit or miss there, but this is like the most Spike Lee movies, and it's perfection. It's like what his career has come to at this point. It's really fitting for now. It's even though it's telling a story of the 70s, like the last bit at the end, it really anchors us to how important what film is now, how important people react to each other. It's a film for now, based in the 70s. It takes a lot of liberties with the actual story, but I'm absolutely fine with that. Fantastic performances, like Denzel Washington's son is fantastic, but Adam Driver, oh my god, like Adam Driver is the best part of this movie. Him and Steve Buscemi's brother, like the little thing they have there. The Steve Buscemi's brother actually in it. I think this entire time this other cop looks like Steve Buscemi, and it turned out this is his brother.
Yeah, no, I was thinking, like, that's Steve Buscemi. What the fuck is Steve Buscemi doing in this?
And it has one. I'll just say one more thing. It has one of my favorite sequences in film this year. Is the Jew lie detector scene. It's one of the most tense, fucked up scenes that I've seen this year.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to make sure I said that.
No. You know, it's okay to interrupt me. I'm inebriated. I will interrupt you, and for any interruptions, I'm sorry. But Black Panther. Oh my
The Black
God.
I
Klansman.
keep calling it the Black Klansman. You think
Black
it's the Black
Klansman,
Panther?
best movie of the year.
You're telling your number one already?
I feel
You're
like
supposed to keep it a secret, man.
It's far up my list.
I know it was
It's
your
in the
number
top
one
2.
in September, so I don't know if it still was.
It's up there. It's within the top 2. Let's just say that. I love this movie. Topher Grace as David Duke was incredible.
Yeah.
John Washington does an amazing job. He leads the film. He does a great job of it. Same thing with Adam Driver. He does an amazing job of it.
I like Adam Driver.
And like
I
so
think
the
I
live
was
actor
not fond of Adam Driver when I saw him in the Star Wars films, but Jesus, when I saw the Jim Jarmusch movie that he did,
Patterson.
Patterson, yeah, I was like, wow, this guy is great.
He did a good job. And what was that one? Silence.
Silence, yeah, he's amazing in
yeah.
Silence.
Yeah.
He's a guy I do like him as Kylo Ren, but he gives his all.
I
in
love him
everything.
as Kylo Ren.
I know,
but now I can't unsee Kylo Ren getting the Jew test done to him. And I'm like, wait, what the fuck is going on in the First Order? Makes sense if you think about what they're based
Yes,
on.
exactly.
But
They're Nazis. So.
Yeah, no, John Washington is just incredible. And yeah, it takes liberties. Of course, it takes liberties. I mean,
But
it does such
important
a
taking
good
liberties.
job, and it's an important way of doing it, and it still makes David Duke look like an absolute douche and idiot. So
And, like,
fuck you, David Duke.
I hinted at this when I was first talking about it, but one thing I really enjoyed was like how much it shows how important film is to culture and how we approach things.
Yeah.
Because there's the lot in there about Birth of a Nation, and I really love the sequence where the KKK is watching it and they're reacting, and he's in the window up top because he's watching the projection of it like a projection artist. But it echoes to a conversation he had earlier with the lead woman whose name I can't remember at the moment.
She was great though.
She's absolutely great. And she's saying, because they're talking about blaxploitation, and he says it's just a movie. She's like, no, it's definitely not. Then he sees that later, and then the sequences at the end where I'm just going to not spoil the movie itself, but spoil the epilogue, where he shows us bits of news reports from Charlottesville that says this is still happening. This is relatable to this movie. This is relatable to the past, and it all comes together to show the importance of film, the importance of how we treat each other, the importance of that this doesn't stop. This isn't just a movie. This is life.
Yeah, it's real life. Sorry not to interrupt. But I saw it with an audience that was not as progressive as you would think. I was in Lakewood.
That's why.
Yes.
Further south.
Tony's from Lakewood, so
it was a 50-50 mix.
Those of us from Pierce County know what of you speak, son.
So many people got pissed off and just left. There was somebody
You're
outside.
kidding me.
Oh yeah. They're like,
God.
how dare they besmirch our president like that? And somebody said that as I was leaving, and I'm like, fuck you.
Ah!
I didn't say it quite like that. I'm like, yeah, no, he's like that, though. He's straight up. Like, I happily post stuff, and I happily say something. Not happily, of course. You know, Trump's awful. He's awful.
He's awful.
It's just horrible. And that Charlottesville footage is profound. It's what's happening.
Yeah.
You know, you can bitch all you want, you can complain all you want about politics and everything, but a white supremacist ran his car through a crowd of people and killed someone.
Yeah.
2017.
Yeah.
People try to cover up for that. People try to say that didn't happen. No, it happened. He killed someone. They're killing people. They're okay with killing people. They're okay with genociding people. They're okay with killing everybody who's not white. They're okay with locking kids in cages.
Another kid just died from...
And nobody...
being
and I know some
detained.
Trump supporters are like, oh, well, it's their parents' fault for bringing it. No,
No.
it's our fault for locking them in a fucking cage like an animal.
Yeah.
They came here in search of a better life, and now we're basically just baiting them in and capturing them and doing horrible things to them. What have we even become? This could be a whole different discussion.
Yes.
I was going to say,
So let's
yes,
just
we're veering off.
bring that back.
I
But
appreciate your
you're-
social awareness,
Yeah.
and I fully endorse it.
Thank you.
But
Continue on. Yeah, we're going over, aren't we?
It's fine.
No, I just meant in terms of if anyone needs refills on things.
Yes.
But
Hey, we should pause for a second.
that's what I was about trying to say. In my
Yeah, all right, hold on, wait, I didn't record that.
Wow.
All right, and we
Thanks,
just took a brief
Bob.
break to be a weirdness right there, but I'm not gonna edit because fuck it.
Fuck it.
Yeah, I might.
You're on this. You're on the COG experience.
Anyway, I might go back and edit this and go in and do it straight.
You won't.
Yes,
I
sure.
promise.
Go ahead.
Number 6.
What's your number 6, Cody?
Hereditary. We talked about
We
it.
talked
It's
about it.
great. Greek film. Will kick you in the balls or in your lady parts or wherever. It will kick you.
Or
in a,
both.
it will kick you in a very vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it
It's a
will kick
mind
you
fuck.
multiple times,
Right.
and it's just
Kim, what's your number 6?
Well, my number 6 was Black Panther, which we
So
just
we already
talked
talked
about.
All right, so this point we're getting into each other's lists.
So,
Tony.
Tony, you're up.
Well, I think I have one.
We haven't
that
talked about my
hasn't
6
been
yet.
mentioned yet. My number 6 for 2018 was The Endless.
Oh,
That made my
nice.
honorable mention.
By
Yeah, it's down to
Benson
my-
and Aaron Moorhead.
That's further down my wonderful list.
I haven't seen it, but it's heard.
It's
good.
fantastic.
Yeah, I am a massive fan of these guys based on the 3 films that they've done.
Yeah.
Their debut, Resolution, was
I
a major
loved
mind fuck.
I still need to see it, but I don't know.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Spring.
Spring is one. Oh my god,
Spring
Spring is
is,
the best.
I think, maybe it's easily one of the 5 best horror romances that I've seen easily in the last 25 years.
And
Or that were made in the last
Lovecrafty and
25 years.
Lovecraft, which
Yeah.
is weird because Lovecraft is like
cat-
anti-sex.
It's the original 1940 cat people plus H.P. Lovecraft.
Yes.
Oh, you
That is
had
what
me
the-
at Cat
Yeah.
People. Fuck it, I'm watching
Cat People's
it as soon
a
as
brilliant film,
Yes,
but that's beside the
anyway,
point.
The Endless. I've heard that you need to see their first film for it to really work. I disagree
No, not
with
really.
that.
I haven't seen Resolution.
I mean-
I know what happens to Resolution, but
Yeah.
I don't.
I mean,
it's
I
fine.
think there's some stuff that you'll appreciate more in Endless if you have, but I don't think it's
more of an
necessary.
in
Exactly,
joke
absolutely.
than
Yeah,
it is
well, the same way I feel like
plot
that with a lot of
point.
the Marvel movies. Like,
Yeah.
there's some things you'll appreciate more if you've seen them all, but do you have to? No.
Yeah, and this is a classic example of that. And first of all, it was budgetary necessity, but the two co-directors play the two leads in the film. They play two brothers who are traveling back to the, quote, UFO death cult, unquote, that they were part of, just to kind of tie up loose ends. And as the movie progresses, the unease increases, and there's much more of a strong inference that all of these seemingly fictitious things that the religious, the UFO death cult, have been kind of preaching and espousing that, gee, there may be some kernel of truth to that.
And then it gets even weirder.
And it's
Weirder.
way weirder, but it is extremely well wrought. One of the things I like about Benson and Moorhead's films is they feel like they convey a lot visually. They assume that the audience is smart enough to go from point A to point B without needing, point A, point 1 or whatever. They respect their audience. And it just creates a wonderful kind of creeping, mounting atmosphere of undread, and it pulls in, semi-spoiler alert, kind of some time and physics elements that are sort of touched on in the first film. But you don't need to know that to enjoy what The Endless does.
And the way it uses those time and physics elements
Well,
is
it's
really
just
clever.
Beautifully, again, talk about if you want to know how to make a really interesting and creative movie that's also still really lovely on a very small budget, watch their films.
Yeah, totally.
Because they do
Masterclass.
that.
Besides their part in VHS Viral, but that was...
We do not
Wait.
talk about such things.
Which one do they do in Viral?
they did the zombie skateboarder one.
No!
Yeah, I know.
You know
It's
what?
like-
It's total junk and it's crap, but at least it's sort of entertaining, unlike the rest of that movie. But we diverge.
I do like the other VHS
Benson and
section,
Moorhead, I
but
think,
yeah.
are terrific filmmakers, and they've become this wonderful self-contained unit, and kind of their aesthetic is creating movies that feel like Richard Linklater character studies, like the Before Sunrise,
Yeah.
Before Sunset films. Spring is one of those movies, only
Yeah.
with a Lovecraftian,
Yeah.
slimy thing in it. The Endless is a very profound meditation on the disparity of adolescent memories from the reality of adulthood, both for plus and for minus. And it's also, it has that wonderful sensibility, a very 70s sensibility, where things are communicated visually and symbolically, but it's not thuddingly, numbingly obvious the way that exposition in most movies from the last 30 years is. It's almost a throwback in that sense, but still with enough innovation and ideas to where it just really resonated and worked with me. I'm a huge fan of these two filmmakers, and I can hardly wait to see what they're going to do.
There's a lot that it's a kind of what you hinted at. There's a lot they leave up to us to figure out.
Exactly.
They do directly tell you some things to give you the visual clues. There's also a lot that we come out, like my wife and I talked about it like all night after we went out to watch it, of what was what meant, and like how we felt about it, because it's definitely a movie you talk about after it's over.
You can tell, I guess I haven't seen either one, but you can tell there's some potential in their filmmaking, even from the zombie skateboarders in VHS Viral.
Yeah.
Where they're beating shit up.
You're giving them more credit than I am.
That movie is so
We had a
dreadful.
weekend.
It's
So
like,
Kills
it's
that
like
whole
if we
series.
found out that one of the segments in VHS Viral was actually the last, directed effort by Orson Welles. We'd still be like, mother...
the other side of the zombie.
Why did that penis look like a dead horse? Why?
No, that one, and I hope we get a chance at the end to talk about some of our honorable
Yeah,
honorable
absolutely.
mentions.
We'll do it
but
before
that-
we get number ones.
I was really, really And it almost made my top 10. I actually was wondering because when I was looking it up, it kept listing as 2017, but it didn't actually get a wide release till 2018.
Correct.
It went the festival circuit in 2017, but it didn't get an actual proper release. It's just a lovely, beautifully done film on a low budget, and I'm such a fan of that.
And it's always wonderful when you are so immersed into what the movie is doing that you don't really click in, at least I didn't, until afterwards. Oh, wow, they were able to make so much of this with exactly 2 actors who are repeated and you can almost afterwards see the gears turning in terms of what they're doing. Filmmaker, excuse me, too much maker's mark. Filmmaker resourcefulness wise, what they're doing. And yet, it doesn't feel too studied or self-conscious. So, I was really smitten by it.
It's an exercise seeing how much you can do without seeing anything directly.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
the rope scene's like, okay, there's nothing to see there, but it's enough to sell you everything.
Exactly. But it's compelling. Because
you think you know where it's going to go, and then it goes a different way.
No, very much.
But
Endless, absolutely wonderful. Yeah. My number 6... I'm going to start out with a musical quote for this. The trailer you all heard 100 times between June and October when it came out. But a fantastic film was the remake of A Star Is Born.
Yeah.
Which I haven't seen any of the versions. But this one was fantastic
I think
across the board.
Some of my struggle is that when I saw that this was being made, I sort of went, why? Because this is now the 4th version of this film.
Yeah, 5th if you count the Indian one.
You're right.
But India remakes a lot of American movies.
I will say, I think Lady Gaga, this is a sentence I never, ever thought I'd say in my life.
Go on.
Lady Gaga is an impressive performer and gives an impressive performance in this.
Interesting.
She is so amazing. It's like she's second Toni Collette for my favorite actress of the year so far.
Was it a movie I needed? No. But and I think some of it is I struggle a little bit with, at this point there's been so many fucking versions of this. You know what's going to happen.
See, I didn't.
There are certain
I knew the basics.
That are going to be
I knew the beats of that. He's going down, she's going up, and that's all I really
The only thing I wasn't sure of was he going to die in a car accident or was he going to kill himself? That's
Spoilers.
what I didn't remember. I mean, I'm sorry. Again,
Exactly.
This is number fucking how many of these versions of this movie have been made. And
suicide, car wreck.
Really, Chris Christopherson's the only one who didn't directly die of suicide. He got in a car accident.
And movies in the 1930s said suicide in it straight up.
Yeah,
they
walk into the ocean.
It's pre-code.
Oh, pre-code.
So
yeah,
you can get away with something a
but
little
the second
bit
one
more
was
direct.
during code, so I think that'd be
54.
50. Yeah.
For me, it was an issue on. I can't get into Bradley Cooper as a.
No, he is amazing.
He really is very good. He really is very good.
And he's gone through
like Batman.
He's gone through his own addiction issues. Like he's been clean.
He does.
Like he's been clean since sometime during Alias, and so he brought in a lot of his addiction stuff to it. So he really sells it. Like Sam Elliott.
Oh, Sam
really
Elliott,
needs a nod because like how much he sells with his eyes. There, like there's various points where he's like you can see everything through him. And then there's one point where like he's backing out the driveway in his truck and he's just about this close to cry, and it just that's just one particular direct moment.
He's very emotive without having to do a lot. There's a lot that happens with him.
That's kind of a mark of a good film actor.
Yeah. Oh, well, and he's old school. Good.
Sam Elliott's amazing.
I feel like we've kind of lost some of the generation of actors who can emote so much without working hard. They just that is their face, and they understand the camera, they understand what's being seen, and that is a lost art. Not that it's not happening now, but I feel like
there's
moving
an element
away.
of self-consciousness to it now.
Yeah.
The stakes, it is so difficult to even remotely make a living being a creative person.
Yes.
That if you are wanting to do that, you are going to be extra studied and extra self-conscious about it, and you lose some of that spontaneity that made people like Lana Turner, who was a sweater girl in a fucking malt shop, stars.
Yeah.
But that said, like,
It's a very interesting topic.
Yeah, Gaga is normally like a person who's like really out there, but I thought she did a very restrained performance. I thought, and I thought she was like that first scene when she's going out on stage when he drags her up there. We see in the trailers.
Yeah,
she sells so much with her face right there. And at the end, the last song at the end, like the songs are amazing. The soundtrack, we went out and bought immediately because the sound.
No, I have the soundtrack.
I fully expect "Shallow" to win the Oscar for best song, win Golden Globe. And it's even though I actually think the last song, "I'll Never Love Again," I think actually is the better song, but "Shallow" is definitely the more bigger, accessible song.
The message for me is not one that I love, and that is that. Again, this is my vagina talking, but well, no, I mean.
Does she needs the man to step up outside of her life?
Fuck you, dude. You kill yourself, and she's like, I am Mrs. Bradley Cooper, and I will never love again. Fuck that shit. Like, I'm sorry.
I think before like finding her in the closet saying, I'm going to take you and put you on stage.
Fucking over that narrative. And it was part of what I struggled with this film.
Holy shit, that is like so fucking anachronistic. Like, I'm like a middle-aged white dude, and I'm like, that is so anachronistic.
That is definitely a troublesome point of the film where I would like she was so further along in her career before that. He met her,
and that was where I actually wish they'd gone a different direction. Like I was like, I know we've got accidental and we've got suicide. Let's go for we go to rehab.
Which we almost did, and then
but let's go for Breadsticks.
Then an asshole fucking manager of hers.
Let's go Robert Downey Jr. Let's go Robert Downey Jr. Like
somebody say, let's go for breadsticks because that's all.
No, like I would have loved it if or let's go for divorce. Let's go for this isn't gonna work. Let's go for anything else, but. I have a problem with that, and I have a problem with it. I have a problem with it because it's a perpetual, yes.
Returning to the positive, however.
I think the performances are spectacular.
Cooper and Gaga had such great chemistry that I really felt that they loved each other.
And there was a real connection between the two of them.
They felt real.
And
you
can even see that from the trailer. Yeah. You know, not hating on the film. I just never really got around to seeing it. But yeah, you can see they've got a connection.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I honestly think actually this is going to be the Best Picture winner this year.
Which makes me cry a little bit.
It's always interesting to think about that X factor that creates the Best Picture.
Please. Like,
it's a
combination of... I think it's just on the line that it gets to that level where it's like popular enough, but also artistic enough with great performances. It's got all the right things.
You're hitting the artistic buttons, you're hitting the commercial buttons. Because
since it's number 6, it's not my favorite movie of the year, but I think out of everything that's out there, I think that might... Of course, I could be completely... I'd never accepted Shake of Water to win, as much as I wanted to.
I was so pleased.
That movie with the Guillermo del Toro's fixed movie.
In a good way.
I was like, yeah, fish sex.
Yeah, a genre movie.
That's exactly what I wanted from the
Fish sex for the win.
Like, Shape of Water isn't directly a horror film, but it's enough in genre that
I
consider it in the genre.
Yes.
And it won Best Picture. That's amazing.
But with penises. So, booyah.
Yeah.
Man. Booyah. Penis fish.
I'm listening to the audiobook right now, so it's really cool to see it again.
You guys.
Yes.
I have yet to see the movie.
You haven't seen Shape of Water?
You know,
dude,
it's so good.
I'll tell you this.
You'll appreciate it too.
I'm a massive Del Toro fan. And
Same.
I know.
I've seen the fish penis, and that's about it.
But there is no
a
penis.
nice penis. Almost as nice as Kim's.
Yeah. My penis is spectacular.
All right, so are we on to my 5?
Yes, like I said, anything else to say about the Shape of Water? The Star is Born?
I've said my
talk like Bradley Cooper for a minute.
But I say he's fantastic there, and he does he's a first-time director, but you wouldn't feel it. He keeps out a lot of the flourishes that you normally get. That he's worked a lot with Clint Eastwood. He's worked a lot with David O. Russell. So I think it really comes through.
It's the best Batman impression I've seen in a long time.
His voice is really, really like that, but everything.
Batman, if he grew up in the fucking South and he dresses in a sheet.
No, Bradley Cooper's definitely not racist.
He doesn't. No, Bradley Cooper, great guy, great dude, not a racist.
But what's funny about that?
Hashtag not a racist.
But what's funny about him and that and Clint Eastwood is how many people got mad when he was at the DNC. And people were like, dude, you were American slavery. He's like, fuck you. It's a movie.
Yeah.
And I hate American. All right, I'm going to cut myself off before I talk about American Sniper and say, what's your number 5, Cody? And just what will Cody's number 5 be? Or the rest of our number 5s? Or even our worst films? This is Bob popping in to note that we did go a little over, so we are splitting this episode into 2 parts, so you can hear everything that we're going to be talking about without having to cut out a lot of the fun or a lot of the particular movies. So check out part 2 of this podcast coming out probably in the next couple of days if you're listening to this the day it comes out, so thank you if you are. Or if not, just go ahead and download that next episode, pop it right in, and hear what else we have to talk about. Thank you, and thank you for listening.